Chapter 337. When Qin Wentian left Chu, the situation in Chu had already stabilized. Chu Wuwei governed the country, resolving the grudges between the various factions and assisting in the reconstruction of the Emperor Star Academy. Although the power structure of the major clans had changed, it was merely a matter of prosperity and decline. This was something that was bound to happen. Luo Huan knew that there was no longer a need for her to remain in Chu. Hence, she decided to roam the continent alone, traveling to the west. She visited many countries, including the Qin continent. She knew that Chu was too small, and her strength was too weak. In addition, she was naturally seductive and had an innate charm, so it was easy for others to covet her beauty. Many times she had faced danger. Fortunately, she was an extremely intelligent person, and after interacting with various people, she was able to protect herself. However, she also knew the importance of powerful strength and background. She wanted to join a major power because she had experienced many things in these few years. Although her talent wasn't weak, it wasn't strong enough to dazzle the eyes of others. Only by joining a major power would she be able to protect herself better. After arriving at Ginkgo, she got to know a few more people and decided to travel together. Although the tone of these people was filled with boasting, she still chose to travel together with them, feigning civility. This was also a method to protect herself. Compared to traveling alone, it was much safer. As for the words of the other party, she had only heard it in passing. Although she wanted to join a major power, she had never thought of joining the Pill Emperor Hall. However, Luo Huan didn't expect that the words of the other party were half-truths. The Jingyu she knew was indeed a disciple of Luo He from the Pill Emperor Hall. He had once accompanied Luo He to Chu to fetch a Mo Qingcheng. Naturally, what caused Luo Huan to be pleasantly surprised was that she had actually met Qin Wentian in the inn. The aura of this little fellow now was already vastly different from before. Luo Huan could still vaguely remember the time when she accompanied her teacher Mustang to the Sky Harmony City, and the first time they had met Qin Wentian fleeing for his life. At this moment, as their gazes met, warm smiles could be seen on the faces of the two of them. Not only that, their relationship was already as close as that of a brother and sister. Meeting again after such a long time, there was warmth in their hearts. It was wonderful to see him again. Fan Lu also noticed the strange expression on Qin Wentian's face. Shifting his gaze over, his eyes instantly brightened. To think that he would actually see his senior sister Luo Huan here. Jingyu, you're here. At this moment, the young man seated at Luo Huan's table stood up and stared at the staircase, only to see a young man slowly walking up, startling the smiling Luo Huan. Luo Huan's beautiful eyes flickered as a crafty glint flashed in her eyes. Did these fellows really find someone to impersonate someone from the Pill Emperor Hall? As she thought of this, she gestured for Qin Wentian and Fan Lu to keep quiet. After which, she blinked her eyes. Her every frown and every smile on her face was extremely pleasing to the eyes. Qin Wentian swept his gaze over to the staircase, and when he saw Jingyu, a strange expression involuntarily appeared on his face. Since Jingyu was already here, it meant that those from the Pill Emperor Hall shouldn't be too far away. It was very likely that Qingcheng was in the vicinity. As he thought of this, Qin Wentian cooperated with Luo Huan's actions. Silently, he turned his head back and continued drinking his wine, as though he hadn't seen anything. Jingyu came together with a young man. This young man was clad in luxurious robes, and was extraordinarily handsome, exuding an aura of heroism. The instant Luo Huan saw the two of them, she couldn't help but have a strange expression on her face. These two exuded an extraordinary aura, and didn't seem to be swindlers at all. It was as though they truly had a deep foundation. Jingyu was clad in white, and his aura was slightly inferior. His brows were furrowed in worry, as though he had something weighing on his mind. As for the young man beside him, he was brimming with energy and vigor. This young man was someone from the Chun clan. In the Ginkgo continent, the Chun clan was one of the most ancient aristocratic clans in Granxia. In fact, there were even rumors that one of the 9 great clans that destroyed Granxia was the Chun clan. They were one of the 9 great clans that Granxia relied on the most. After the destruction of Granxia, the Chun clan lord established a new Chun clan in the Ginkgo continent. In the 9 continents of Granxia, there were 36 transcendent powers. If one were to rank them, the Chun clan would definitely be ranked within the top 3. The cultivation art of the Chun clan had the ability to borrow the power of the great solar sun, twisting the heavens and earth. The great solar universe art was rumored to be one of the ultimate arts of ancient Grand Xia. It possessed boundless might, and when one cultivated it, they would be able to incinerate the heavens and boil the seas. When the great solar universe art was unleashed, anyone who dared to approach it would die. From this, one could very well imagine how tyrannical this cultivation art was. Even in Grand Xia, it would be extremely difficult to find a cultivation art that could contend against it. The Pill Emperor Hall and the Chun clan had a connection, and after they arrived in Ginkgo, the Chun clan had personally welcomed the Pill Emperor Hall and the Hua clan into their residence. When Chun Ran first saw Mo Qingcheng, he was momentarily stunned. Not only that, there were many rumors circulating about Mo Qingcheng and the various transcendent powers, causing Chun Ran to feel a strong urge to pursue her. However, he also knew that there were many competitors, and the strongest among them were Hua Taishu and Zhang Chan. However, when he heard that Mo Qingcheng had no interest in either of them, his thoughts grew even more excited. Hence, he sought out Luo He's disciple Jingyu, hoping to get to know him better. If not, given Chun Ran's status, he would have disdained to be together with Jingyu. After all, among the disciples of Luo He, Jingyu's talent was extremely ordinary, and he wasn't valued highly by Luo He. Chun Ran's heart was blazing with fire, but Jingyu's heart was filled with worries. Right now, his alchemy cultivation had stagnated, and his master was extremely disappointed in him. He also understood the reason for this. It was all because of Mo Qingcheng. He was deeply in love with Mo Qingcheng, yet he could only gaze at her in secret. He didn't even dare to confess. And now, there were so many geniuses surrounding Mo Qingcheng, all of them lusting after her. Some of them even wanted him to be their matchmaker, yet he couldn't voice out his bitterness. One could very well imagine how terrible Jingyu's mood was right now. These few days in Ginkgo, he had been drinking himself drunk every night. And yesterday when he was drunk, he met his brother Jing Feng. Walking to the table, Jing Feng greeted him, to which he casually nodded his head. Jingyu, this is Luo Huan and Yang Xia. They both wish to enter the Pill Emperor Hall. Do you have any ideas? Jingyu's brother Jing Feng cast a glance at Jingyu, causing Jingyu to coldly laugh in his heart. This Jing Feng was truly a silk pants. Instead of focusing on his cultivation, he only knew how to flirt with flowers and grass. And now he even wanted to use Jingyu to help him play with women. How laughable! Jingyu casually swept his gaze over, directly disregarding the female beside Yang Xia. This Yang Xia was actually quite pretty, and was currently casting flirtatious glances at him. Her clothes were revealing, and her figure was extremely alluring. Such a female in Jingyu's eyes was too vulgar. Only Jing Feng would be interested in her. Because Jingyu frequently sneaked glances at Mo Qingcheng, how many people could enter his eyes now? However, when Jingyu's gaze landed on Luo Huan, his eyes brightened. Luo Huan seemed to be born with an innate charm, giving off an intense sense of attraction. That sexy figure, coupled with her fiery figure, was undoubtedly the epitome of a woman. Although her clothes weren't as exquisite as Yang Xia's, when compared to Yang Xia's, Luo Huan caused a fire to ignite in the hearts of men. With such a beauty, wouldn't it be a joyous thing if I could spend a night with her? Jingyu stared at the breathtaking countenance of Luo Huan, as a flame ignited in his heart. What sort of character was Chun Ran? Upon seeing the gazes of these people, he instantly understood the situation. He coldly laughed in his heart. He also knew that Jingyu was secretly in love with Mo Qingcheng. This was the reason why Jingyu had such a frown on his face all the time. This woman is truly beautiful. If it wasn't for the fact that I met Mo Qingcheng, I would be willing to accompany her to play. But since Jingyu has taken a liking to her, I shall grant him his wish. Let him quickly forget about Mo Qingcheng and come to help me. Chun Ran smiled. Brother Jingyu is the disciple of Senior Luo He from the Pill Emperor Hall. Although it would take some effort to bring someone into the Pill Emperor Hall, it shouldn't be too difficult. However, why would he need to help someone he doesn't know? Jingyu lightly sipped on his wine. Chun Ran's words were exactly what he wanted. I have some treasures on me. I'm willing to offer them all up. Yang Xia initially had some suspicions about Jing Feng's words, but after seeing the demeanor of Chen Ran and Jing Yu, her suspicions dissipated. This was an extremely good opportunity. Brother Jing Yu is a disciple of the Pill Emperor Hall. What use do I have for your treasures? Chen Ran glanced at Yang Xia. How could Yang Xia not understand Chen Ran's meaning? She cast a glance at Jing Yu. These people all exuded an extraordinary aura. If she could enter the Pill Emperor Hall, even if she chose to follow one of them, it wouldn't be a loss. As long as I can give it to you, there's no problem. Yang Xia shyly replied, lowering her head. Her intentions were extremely clear. However, at this moment, Chen Ran shifted his gaze onto Luo Huan. Evidently, his intentions weren't on Yang Xia. This scene caused the smile on Yang Xia's face to stiffen, becoming extremely ugly to behold. How could Luo Huan not understand the current situation? She couldn't help but feel depressed in her heart. Initially, she thought that Jing Feng would only find a swindler. She didn't expect that the other party was actually an extraordinary character. Just a single glance from Chen Ran gave her a huge sense of pressure. No matter what, these people were people from major powers, yet they were no different from commoners, doing such despicable things outside. But Luo Huan had long since grown accustomed to it. Humans couldn't differentiate between the weak and the weak. These people all had high statuses, hence their sights were set higher. They weren't even interested in a sexy beauty like Yang Xia, but instead they set their sights on her. I know that my talent is insufficient. I'm not qualified to enter the Pill Emperor Hall, Luo Huan replied with a smile. Although she felt disgust in her heart, she wouldn't fall out with them so easily. She who was outside was much more cautious compared to before. It's fine, as long as you are willing to put in some effort. I can guarantee that you will be able to join a transcendent power. Chen Ran lowered his voice. After all, this matter wasn't that glorious, and if his identity was exposed, it wouldn't be good for him. As for the hint he was hinting at, it was already extremely obvious that everyone could hear it. Qin Wentian had been paying attention to the situation over there. When he saw Jing Yu and Chen Ran appearing, he knew that it was impossible for his senior sister to tease them. And now that he heard Chen Ran's words, he couldn't help but to laugh coldly in his heart. My apologies, I have something to do. I'll take my leave first. Luo Huan stood up, her smile still on her face. Chen Ran's eyes narrowed as a blazing light flickered within. Seeing Luo Huan turning around, he coldly stated, "It's best if you sit down." Luo Huan, sit down. Jing Feng also spoke, his countenance changing. This Chen Ran was obviously not someone easy to deal with. Not only that, Jing Yu already seemed to have some interest in Luo Huan. Luo Huan's countenance changed, only to see that in front of her, Qin Wentian stood up, smiling at her. Luo Huan also smiled as she walked towards Qin Wentian. Why don't you try taking a step forward? Jing Yu was originally in a bad mood, and Mo Qingcheng could only secretly fall in love with him. But now, a girl with no background actually dared to throw a tantrum at him? This was akin to stabbing into his sore spot. Sis, there's no need to care about that trash. Qin Wentian smiled as he walked towards Luo Huan. Upon hearing Qin Wentian's words, Luo Huan's smile grew even sweeter. Back in Chu, she already knew that Qin Wentian's actions were extremely cautious. Since he dared to speak in such a manner, it was evident that he wasn't afraid of Jing Yu at all. Not only that, she also noticed that other than Qin Wentian and Fan Lu, there was also Ouyang Guangxing, Jiang Ting, and the rest. Chapter 338. As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, a terrifying light flickered in Jing Yu's eyes. Trash recently, he had been incomparably dispirited. He would often ask himself if his so-called talent had already been lost. Not only did his master doubt him, even his fellow apprentices doubted him. These two words were like a needle piercing into his heart. Slut, scram over here and sit down. If not, I will turn you into my plaything. Jing Yu didn't turn around but instead coldly spoke. With his back facing Qin Wentian, his handsome countenance contorted. If it was any other time, Jing Yu wouldn't have lost his composure like this. It was just that his mood had been too bad recently, and coupled with the provocation from Qin Wentian, the dark side of his heart had been exposed. When the people in the inn heard this, they all turned their gazes towards Jing Yu. as expressions of interest appeared on their faces. This person seemed to have a certain temperament, but to say such words it was truly beneath his status. Luo Huan's countenance stiffened, as a cold glint of light flickered in her eyes. Although she had been living a lowly and cautious life these few years, she still maintained her dignity, not allowing herself to be humiliated by others. If Luo He knew that she had to hand over a disciple like you, I wonder how she would feel. A cold intent gushed forth from Qin Wentian. Jingyu placed his wine cup down and turned around. After which, when he saw Qin Wentian's countenance, his countenance abruptly froze. He wasn't very familiar with Qin Wentian, and had only met him twice. The first time he and his fellow disciple Yan Qi stared at Qin Wentian, telling him not to dream of being together with Mo Qingcheng. He was merely a jackdaw and wasn't worthy of her. The second time was outside the Pill Emperor Hall. He found it laughable that Qin Wentian had actually managed to find his way here. But after that he saw Qin Wentian facing off against Zhang Chun. After that, the rumors regarding Qin Wentian continued to circulate unceasingly. The youngest fourth-ranked grandmaster in the Moon Continent had killed Hua Xiaoyun in a fit of rage for the sake of his lover. In that violent battle, all of his puppets had been destroyed, and he had suffered heavy injuries. But even so, he still managed to hold Xu Ruanyu hostage and escape unscathed. In that battle, 3 assassins had fallen, and Zhang Qin's reputation had been questioned. There were even people who suspected that the assassin was really Zhang Chan, and that he had killed his lover before. This was the third time that Qin Wentian stood there, looking at him with a gaze as though he was looking at a lowly ant. This was the gaze he used to look at Qin Wentian in the past. Such a gaze caused his heart to ache even more. "It's you." Jingyu's gaze was ice-cold, yet he only saw Qin Wentian coldly glancing at him. The sharpness of Qin Wentian's gaze seemed to penetrate right into his mind. Momentarily, a terrifying pressure bore down on him, causing him to feel terror. It was as though a terrifying primordial demon had appeared in front of him, wanting to tear him apart. Boom! Qin Wentian took a step forwards, causing Jingyu's heart to pound wildly. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat as he tried to move backwards. With a loud thud, the stool he was sitting on directly toppled over, and he himself also fell beneath the table. "If you dare to spout any more vulgar words, I will make you scram out of here," Qin Wentian icily stated. Jingyu, who had just climbed back up, had a pale countenance. Staring at the numerous gazes directed at him, Jingyu felt a lump in his chest, causing him to feel extremely unbearable. Pill Emperor Hall's Luo He actually has such a disciple? It's rumored that the youngest disciple of Luo He, Mo Qingcheng, has a heart of agility, and is as beautiful as a fairy from the heavens. Yet this young man is actually her senior brother? Unbelievable. Many in the crowd shook their heads and sighed. Qin Wentian didn't bother with these voices. He walked towards Luo Huan, and as he stared at this sexy and beautiful senior apprentice sister of his, he stretched out his hands and gently caressed her face. "Sis, you've lost weight. Smelly brat, how dare you take advantage of your senior sister?" Luo Huan had a warm smile on her face. This fellow had truly grown up. Now he could already protect her. He was no longer the young man who needed her protection in the past. "Who asked senior sister to be so beautiful? It would be a waste if I didn't take advantage of you." Qin Wentian laughed. After which, he gave Luo Huan a tight hug. It had nothing to do with the feelings between a man and a woman, it was pure familial love. He had long since treated Luo Huan like Qin Yao, as his own elder sister. "Oi, your sister can't breathe." Luo Huan couldn't help but to be speechless when she felt Qin Wentian's immense strength. The two of them separated, and Fatty Fan Lu walked over. He extended his arms towards Luo Huan as he greeted, "Senior sister. Damn Fatty, your figure is even better than before." Luo Huan giggled as she looked at Fatty. Momentarily, Fatty pulled a long face as he stated, "Senior sister, you can't be so biased. When you have a figure like Wentian's, maybe I will give you a chance." Luo Huan giggled, causing Fatty to instantly feel despair. "Sis, let's go over and sit." Qin Wentian pulled Luo Huan along and prepared to leave, only to hear Chan Ran, who had been silent all this while, suddenly speaking, "Wait a minute." Chun Ran had been observing everything from the side. Qin Wentian and his group all exuded an extraordinary aura. This was especially so for Ouyang Quangxing and Jiang Ting. All of them should be from major powers. As for Qin Wentian, he seemed to have the aura of a boorish person, letting his emotions affect his decisions. However, his strength shouldn't be weak at all. However, no matter who they were, in Ginkgo, in front of his Chen clan, even if they were a dragon, they would still have to kneel. This moment was undoubtedly the best opportunity to make Jingyu feel gratitude towards him. No matter who you are, come over here and apologize in front of my brother Jingyu. Chen Ran slammed his palms on the table, his voice filled with a hint of coldness. At the side, Yang Xia and the rest had always thought that Jingyu's identity as a disciple of the Pill Emperor Hall would be useful. But now she could tell that Chen Ran's identity was even more shocking compared to Jingyu. If not, after Jingyu was humiliated by Qin Wentian, he wouldn't have dared to stand out. Only now did Qin Wentian turn his gaze to Chen Ran. Earlier he had seen Chen Ran's impoliteness, but this place was after all Ginkgo, and he didn't want to stir up trouble. Hence, he decided to let go of the matter of teaching Jingyu a lesson, but who would have thought that Chen Ran wouldn't let him off so easily? Sis, let's go. Qin Wentian merely glanced at Chen Ran before pulling Luo Huan to his table, completely ignoring Chen Ran's words. Chen Ran continued slamming his palms on the table, his countenance akin to a blazing sun, causing the surrounding air to heat up. Those who cultivated the Great Solar Universe art were all core members of the Chen clan. From the look in Chen Ran's eyes, one could tell that he had cultivated the Great Solar Universe art before. If he didn't have enough confidence, he wouldn't have pursued a character like Imo Qingcheng. The great solar flame in Chen Ran's eyes was clearly seen by Ouyang Quangxing. When Chen Ran was speaking, Ouyang Quangxing had already noticed him. When they arrived at the table, Ouyang Quangxing stated, "He's from the great solar Chen clan of Ginkgo." Chen clan? Qin Wentian's countenance stiffened. With regards to the transcendent powers of the Grand Xia Empire, he already had a rough understanding of them. On the way to Ginkgo, Ouyang Quangxing had already introduced them to him. The Great Solar Chen clan was an extremely ancient aristocrat clan that had existed since the era of ancient Grand Xia. Not only that, they were one of the 9 grand clans, one of the 9 most powerful clans under the ancient Grand Xia Empire. They cultivated the tyrannical Great Solar Universe art. Upon hearing the name of the Great Solar Chen clan, the first thing that came to Qin Wentian's mind was the scene he saw in the Heavenly Steel. Those 9 people plotted to conquer the world, splitting the divine steel into 9 parts, allowing each of them to wield one of the 9 ultimate arts. The Great Solar Chen clan was probably the descendant of one of those 9 people. Even now, they had already become a terrifying existence. Chen Ran's eyes flickered as he stared at Ouyang Quangxing. Ouyang Quangxing was able to tell with a single glance that he was from the Great Solar Chen clan. "Who might you be?" Chen Ran indifferently asked. "Ouyang aristocrat clan, Ouyang Quangxing." Ouyang Quangxing didn't bother to conceal his identity and directly stated. His words caused the people in the inn to sigh in amazement. Today, the drunken immortal residence was bustling with activity. The Great Solar Chen clan, Ouyang aristocrat clan and Pill Emperor Hall actually appeared here at the same time. However, such a matter was something that the crowd loved to see. It would be best if they could have a proper clash and see which clan was stronger. Ouyang Quangxing. Chen Ran's eyes flickered. He had naturally heard of this name before. Ouyang Quangxing from the Ouyang aristocrat clan was one of the top names of the transcendent powers. What about him? Chen Ran turned his gaze onto Qin Wentian. "He's my brother Qin Wentian. Today I'm here with my fiancée Jiang Ting, and a few other brothers. I hope you won't disturb our mood." Ouyang Quangxing indifferently replied. Chen Ran's lips curled up in a cold smile. "But my mood has already been disturbed. Not only that, he suddenly launched a sneak attack against my friend. I'm only asking him to apologize, isn't that too much?" Ouyang Quangxing understood that Chen Ran didn't want to give him any face. Since this was the case, there was no need for him to say anything else. He turned his gaze away, completely disregarding Chen Ran. Chen Ran placed his palms on the table. Instantly, a terrifying heat gushed forth, incinerating the entire table into nothingness. Not only that, even the wine cups on the table were melted into liquid, incinerated by the terrifying heat. The people seated at the table hurriedly retreated. The great solar radiance in Chan Ran's eyes grew even more terrifying as a terrifying intent emanated from him. If I take the initiative to attack, not only would I have to apologize, I would also want that woman. Chan Ran's voice contained traces of coldness. He was a member of the Great Solar Chan clan. Why would he need to give face to Ouyang Guangsheng? Not only that, he wouldn't take the initiative to offend Ouyang Guangsheng. Since Qin Wentian and that woman weren't from the Ouyang aristocrat clan, he could make a move against them. Elder sis, wait a moment. Qin Wentian stared at the stiffened expression on Luo Huan's face. After which, he put down his wine cup and stood up, walking towards Chan Ran. Instantly, a terrifying aura gushed forth from him. His countenance turned incomparably demonic, and his eyes caused the hearts of those who looked at him to tremble. You have some strength, but a cultivation base at the 7th level of Yuanfu is still insufficient. Chan Ran slowly stood up. The people in the surroundings hurriedly evaded him, and all the tables and chairs that got too close to him were instantly incinerated into ashes. The Great Solar Universe art allowed those who cultivated it to possess the Great Solar Universe energy, capable of incinerating the heavens and boiling the seas. When the Great Solar Universe art was unleashed, anyone who got too close to it would die. Although Chan Ran didn't have that kind of power, those who got too close to him would still feel their hearts trembling. As for the aura he exuded, it was at the 8th level of Yuanfu. Boom! Chan Ran took a step forward, leaving a deep footprint beneath his feet. His palms also turned red as a terrifying heat gushed forth, gushing towards Qin Wentian. On account of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, I'll give you one last chance. Chan Ran's eyes flickered with a terrifying great solar radiance, akin to the sun itself. Chapter 339. The people in the inn retreated even further away, some even rushing out of the inn. The cultivation art of the Great Solar Chan clan was extremely tyrannical. If one's strength wasn't high enough, they would be caught in the crossfire and be corroded by the Great Solar Universe art. This cultivation art could be ranked within the top 10 in the entire Granxia Empire. It was an extremely terrifying art. Let's go out and fight. Qin Wentian indifferently spoke. Chan Ran's lips curled up in a cold smile. This person had a cultivation base at the 7th level of Yuanfu, yet he actually dared to accept the challenge. It had been a long time since he, Chan Ran, had met such an interesting person. The core members of his Chan clan all cultivated the Great Solar Universe art, and all of them had the ability to fight above their cultivation level, let alone against someone a level lower than them. I'll grant you your wish. Chan Ran's palms grabbed out in the air, and an instant later, a sun-like hole appeared, shattering the inn. Chan Ran's silhouette soared up into the skies, vanishing from sight. Busy Qin Wentian's demonic chi soared up into the skies, and he too vanished. The silhouettes of the people in the inn flickered as they sped outside, not wanting to miss out on this battle. Ouyang Guangsheng, Luo Huan and the rest also sped out from the windows, dashing outside. In the air, Qin Wentian's demonic chi towered to the heavens. Behind Chan Ran, there was a blazing sun that cascaded downwards, as though it wanted to be used by him. The spectators from afar all had expressions of shock on their faces as they stared at the sky. Great Solar Universe art. It's someone from the Chan clan. Chan Ran from the Great Solar Chan clan can be considered one of the more outstanding ones. Who dares to challenge Chan Ran with a cultivation base at the 7th level of Yuanfu? There's going to be a good show to watch. Chan Ran had a smile on his face as he swept his gaze over to Qin Wentian. A terrifying surge of energy circulated around his body, and a scorching heat radiated from his palms. His smile contained hints of mockery. Leaving aside the fact that Qin Wentian wasn't someone from the Ouyang aristocrat clan, even if he was, how could his Great Solar Chan clan fear the Ouyang aristocrat clan? Busy. A scorching gale swept through the air as Chan Ran lunged towards Qin Wentian. His speed was incomparably fast, and it was as though he was carrying the weight of a blazing sun on his back. With this strike, he would let Qin Wentian understand how powerful the Great Solar Universe energy was. Qin Wentian clenched his fist as he similarly stepped out. Demonic chi enveloped his arms as a terrifying palm imprint abruptly blasted out. Both of them didn't use any techniques to evade. They simply used brute force to clash against each other. Evidently, both of them were extremely confident in their own strength. The two silhouettes in the air collided in an instant. Their terrifying palms collided with each other, and with a thunderous boom, demonic chi and scorching chi transformed into a terrifying storm, sweeping out in all directions. It was as though there were waves of smoke and fog filling the air. The two silhouettes in the air clashed against each other, their palms colliding with each other. A thunderous sound echoed out as the demonic chi and scorching heat transformed into a terrifying tempest, engulfing everything in its path. Great Solar Universe Art. Qin Wentian's palms were shrouded in a layer of pitch-black qi. A terrifying heat gushed into his arms, transforming into incomparably scorching great solar flames, wanting to destroy his arms. Great Solar Universe Art. An expression of shock flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes. There weren't many people at the 8th level of Yuanfu who could injure him, yet this Great Solar Universe Art could actually threaten him. From this, one could see how tyrannical it was. However, in this exchange of blows, Qin Wentian didn't retreat even half a step. Evidently, he had the upper hand. He turned his gaze onto Chun Ran, as a cold light flickered in his eyes. He mocked, 8th level of Yuanfu, is that all you've got? The hearts of the spectators trembled. Chun Ran was a level higher than Qin Wentian, and not only that, he was also a member of the Great Solar Chung clan, and had cultivated the Great Solar Universe Art. Jing Yu's countenance was extremely fascinating to behold. The young man he had once looked down on actually had such terrifying strength, trampling over him with ease. Your strength isn't bad, but if this is all you've got, it's still insufficient. How could Chun Ran admit defeat upon seeing the sarcasm in Qin Wentian's eyes? His astral soul erupted forth as the great solar astral soul shone resplendently. Chun Ran's entire body was enveloped by the light of the great solar astral soul, causing the spectators to feel a piercing pain in their eyes. Powerful. This is the great solar illumination of the Great Solar Universe Art. Coupled with his astral soul, the might of this combination is incomparably terrifying. I wonder how many times stronger Qin Wentian's aura is now. Those from the Great Solar Chung clan are too terrifying. It was rare for the spectators to see a member of the Great Solar Chung clan fighting outside, and all of them had expressions of excitement on their faces. The great solar illumination of the Great Solar Universe Art, coupled with Chun Ran's strength, could easily incinerate opponents of the same level. Even Qin Wentian wouldn't be able to get close to Chun Ran. You want to receive another palm strike from me? Chun Ran coldly laughed as the great solar illumination radiating from him grew even more resplendent. The general of a defeated army. Qin Wentian's body was cloaked in demonic armor as he transformed into his demonic form. The great solar might radiating from Chun Ran was too overwhelming, and if he didn't do so, his robes and body wouldn't be able to withstand the terrifying heat. Chun Ran coldly snorted, stepping out in the air as the two of them neared each other. Chun Ran blasted out with his palms, and in an instant, a tyrannical sun manifested, wanting to incinerate Qin Wentian. The demonic chi on Qin Wentian's arms towered up into the sky as the will of his dual mandates gushed forth. At this instant it was unknown how terrifying his strength was. Shattering void. Qin Wentian blasted out with his palms, exuding a majestic aura. At the instant their palms collided, the demonic armor on Qin Wentian's arm was incinerated. His demonic body was like a terrifying sun, as the tyrannical might of the great solar illumination frenziedly gushed into his body. However, at the same time, Chun Ran's body was once again flung through the air. This time around, he groaned in agony as his countenance instantly paled. Clutching his chest, he coughed out a mouthful of blood as his internal organs shuddered violently, as though they were on the verge of shattering. The towering might of Qin Wentian's attack landed on Qin Wentian's arm, yet it directly penetrated into his body. The tyrannical might of the attack could disregard all defenses. Boom! A terrifying demonic chi towered up into the sky. The scorching heat from Qin Wentian's body was expelled. His silhouette was as swift as the wind, and this time around he wasn't in a passive position. He directly launched an attack towards Chun Ran. Chun Ran's countenance stiffened, but he braced himself and accepted the attack. The light of the great solar illumination erupted forth once more, and each beam of light seemed capable of penetrating through everything. Qin Wentian directly blasted out with his ancient imprint, as the roars of dragons shook the heavens. This time around, Qin Wentian's attack was akin to a raging tempest. The spectators only saw a tyrannical qi sweeping through the air, as deafening rumbles shook their eardrums, incomparably terrifying. Chan Ran unceasingly coughed out blood. Yet Qin Wentian didn't give him any chance to evade. Qin Wentian stuck close to him and continued his frenzied attacks. Finally, with a deafening boom, Chan Ran's body was smashed down by the tyrannical might of Qin Wentian's attack, slamming into a building. Cough, cough. Chan Ran coughed out a mouthful of blood as his aura grew increasingly weak. The light radiating from him was no longer as dazzling as before. Qin Wentian stood in the air, staring down at him as he spat out two words, "How weak." As the sound of his voice faded, Qin Wentian flicked his sleeves and departed, leaving behind Chan Ran, who had lost all face, his countenance as pale as paper. He was Chan Ran from the Great Solar Chung clan. He used the Great Solar Universe art, yet he was suppressed by someone with a lower cultivation base than him, to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. The words "how weak" resounded in the air, staring at the countless gazes on him. Chan Ran felt as though his heart was bleeding. With a howl of rage, Chan Ran soared up into the skies, leaving this place. If he stayed here, he would only lose face. And at this moment, the spectators were all guessing who this Qin Wentian was. His attacks were actually so tyrannical. He definitely had the qualifications to contend for the heavenly fate rankings. Jing Yu's countenance was incomparably complicated. His friends, as well as Yang Xia and the rest, didn't even dare to breathe loudly as their hearts trembled. Such a character was actually the junior apprentice brother of Luo Huan. Luckily, they didn't commit any grave mistakes, or this person would definitely not spare them. Qin Wentian didn't even spare a glance at Jing Yu and the rest. He returned to the side of Luo Huan, only to see Luo Huan smiling at him, her charming eyes flashing with a strange light. This fellow was already so powerful. If you return to Chu, I'm afraid no one would be able to contend against you. You're not even 20 yet, right? Luo Huan sighed in her heart. If I don't work hard in my cultivation, how can I protect my senior apprentice sister? Qin Wentian joked. Your tongue is getting smoother and smoother. Luo Huan laughed, still hugging Qin Wentian's arm just like before, causing Fatty Fan Lu to be filled with jealousy and envy. At this moment, Qin Wentian's brows twitched as he spoke to Ouyang Guangsheng. Ouyang, bring them back first. I still have something I need to do. You want to follow him? Ouyang Guangsheng asked in a low voice. He knew that Qin Wentian's girlfriend, Mo Qingsheng, was in the Pill Emperor Hall. Now that Jing Yu had appeared, how could he not understand Qin Wentian's intentions? I'll go take a look. Don't worry, I won't be impulsive, I'll only take a look. Qin Wentian lightly nodded his head. Little Lu, bring them back. I'll go with you. Even if we're seen by those from the Pill Emperor Hall, they wouldn't dare to do anything to me, Ouyang Guangsheng stated. Qin Wentian contemplated for a moment before nodding his head. At this moment, Jing Yu's mood was incomparably downcast. He didn't have the mood to stay here any longer. He directly flew towards the temporary lodgings of the Pill Emperor Hall. The Chun clan residence in Ginkgo was vast and majestic, akin to a royal palace. Within the Great Solar Chun clan, there was an independent villa, the surroundings elegant and comfortable. Jing Yu returned to this villa. Based on his strength, it was naturally impossible for him to discover that Qin Wentian was following him. Outside the Chun clan residence, Qin Wentian sat with his eyes closed, his head lowered. In the center of his brows, a bright light flickered, as though there was a third eye there. A terrifying sense of perception enveloped Jing Yu. Wherever Jing Yu went, Qin Wentian could easily track him. Upon arriving at the villa, he saw Jing Yu's gaze fixed on a certain building. In his eyes, there were traces of anticipation, as well as traces of bewilderment. Qin Wentian's powerful perception extended towards the building, slowly seeping in. Not long after, his perception entered an elegant room. Within the room, a white-robed maiden with a countenance so beautiful that it could topple empires sat cross-legged. Perspiration could be seen dripping down her face, and in front of her, a blazing hot cauldron floated in the air. A seven-colored flame flickered beneath the cauldron, as a mysterious aura permeated the air. Qingcheng. Qin Wentian's heart pounded violently as his perception fluctuated. It had been a few years since they last met. Finally he saw her again. At the same time, Mo Qingqing's countenance changed. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light as she stared in the direction of the voice. Who? Chapter 340. Mo Qingqing's entire body was enveloped by a formless halo, exuding a holy aura. With the heart of 7 apertures, her perception was also extremely terrifying. If not, she wouldn't have been able to detect Qin Wentian's heart sense. Both Qin Wentian and Mo Qingqing used their hearts to sense. At the instant Mo Qingqing turned her head, Qin Wentian felt as though she was looking at him. Warmth flowed through his heart. She was still the same as before, in fact she was even more beautiful than before. There was a holy light radiating from her so dazzling. Not only that, she seemed to have matured a little, and that countenance of hers was even more resilient than before. Mo Qingqing seemed to have sensed something, her heart involuntarily pounding violently. She could feel the warmth radiating from Qin Wentian as she murmured, "Wentian, is that you?" This gentle voice was filled with boundless longing. Qin Wentian wanted nothing more than to throw his head back and roar in rage. It was him, he was right outside the Cheng clan. "Qingqing, what's wrong?" A silhouette flickered as it stepped into Mo Qingqing's room. This person was none other than Mo Qingqing's master, Luo He. Her brows were slightly furrowed, as though she could sense that someone was spying on them. But in that instant, Qin Wentian retracted his perception, and everything returned to normal. A trace of suspicion flashed through Luo He's heart, but she soon understood. Most probably, it was the perception of an expert from the Chan clan who had inadvertently passed by here. "Master." Mo Qingqing felt that sense of perception vanish, and a sense of disappointment and frustration appeared in her heart, as though something was missing. "You're letting your imagination run wild again." Given his strength, how could he possibly extend his perception all the way here? "It's still unknown whether he will come to Ginkgo or not," Luo He indifferently stated. The him she was referring to was naturally Qin Wentian. "He will come, I can sense it," Mo Qingqing seriously replied. "Not only that, he won't be too far away from me." "I don't know what you're thinking about. It's already been a few years, yet you still can't let go of the relationship you had when you were young? You can find any outstanding man you want," Luo He helplessly stated. "Irreplaceable." Mo Qingqing shook her head. Every time she discussed with her master, there wouldn't be any results. "Master, do you still remember the agreement between us?" Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes stared at Luo He, as though this matter was extremely important to her. "Of course I remember. Back then you insisted on going out to look for him, but I didn't allow it. In fact, I even wanted him to vanish from this world. At that time, the two of us made a promise. I promised you that I wouldn't deal with him, and you also promised me that you wouldn't look for him and would focus on your cultivation." Luo He calmly spoke. She didn't want anyone to disturb Mo Qingqing's cultivation. "What I promised you was that before the end of this year, I wouldn't meet him again. Even if I meet him, we would only be strangers." Mo Qingqing shook her head. "Are you that confident in him?" Luo He indifferently replied. "There's not much time left. Zhan Chen's strength is already sufficient to contend for the top 3 rankers of the Heavenly Fate rankings. If he can defeat Zhan Chen in this ranking battle, I'll agree to no longer restrict you. But if he fails, you'd better obediently continue your cultivation." "It's good that Master remembers." Only then did a smile appear on Mo Qingqing's face. He would definitely be able to do it. Luo He had given her too much pressure, hence she could only make this agreement with Luo He. Firstly, it was to ensure that those from the Pill Emperor Hall wouldn't act against Qin Wentian. Secondly, it was because she was filled with hope for Qin Wentian. If Qin Wentian was truly defeated, she would be willing to continue waiting until Qin Wentian's strength surpassed that of the Pill Emperor Hall. At that time, who would be able to obstruct her? Right now, her only wish was for Qin Wentian's safety. Luo He's eyes flickered with anger as she glanced at the floating cauldron in the room. "You're still thinking of concocting that kind of pill? Master, there's no need for you to worry about this." Mo Qingqing lightly shook her head. However, at this moment, there was a commotion outside. Luo He's silhouette flickered as she cast her gaze downwards. "Jingyu, what happened?" Jingyu replied, "Master, there seems to be someone spying on our Cheng clan." Luo He's brows furrowed as she floated up in the air. Her gaze pierced through an extremely long distance, landing on the area outside the Chung clan. Instantly, her gaze froze. Outside the Chung clan, there were two groups of people facing off against each other. Other than those from the Chung clan, there were two other young men. With her eyes, she could naturally tell who one of them was. That young man of the past had undergone such a great transformation. Not only that, was that sense of perception she sensed earlier really his? Behind Luo He, Emo Qingqing's silhouette appeared. Her gaze similarly stared into the distance as her heart pounded violently. She felt as though time had come to a standstill. Over there was a gaze that penetrated through everything, landing on her. In that instant, it was as though space itself could no longer obstruct the collision of their hearts. He smiled. His smile was exceptionally radiant like the sun. She smiled. Her smile was exceptionally sweet and gentle. He had come to see her. That smile of his made her feel as though she had returned to the past, back to the innocent and pure days of her youth. Time was unable to obstruct the purest of emotions. Emo Qingqing wanted to step out, yet Luo He interjected. "Have you forgotten our agreement?" As the sound of Luo He's voice faded, Emo Qingqing's countenance drastically changed as she abruptly halted her steps. Qin Wentian couldn't help but have a strange expression on his face when he saw the change in Emo Qingqing's countenance. What's wrong with her? Why was she still smiling earlier? But in the blink of an eye, she had an expression of worry on her face. After which, Qin Wentian discovered that Luo He and Emo Qingqing had already disappeared from his sight. They had left and didn't walk towards him. A sense of disappointment flashed through Qin Wentian's heart, but soon after, he smiled again as he murmured, "As long as you are safe and sound, then the skies will always be clear." Seeing that Emo Qingqing was still as beautiful as ever, and her smile was still as sweet as ever, Qin Wentian's heart finally relaxed. Junior Ouyang Quangxing pays his respects to the seniors of the Chun clan. At this moment, Ouyang Quangxing's gaze shifted onto those from the Chun clan as he spoke. Although he had been discovered, he was neither servile nor overbearing. The countenance of the person in the lead froze for a moment before he smiled. "So it's nephew Ouyang. However, what are you doing outside my Chun clan? If you wanted to pay a visit, why didn't you inform us beforehand?" "I was just about to pay a visit, but who would have thought that my friend would meet an old friend?" Ouyang Quangxing smiled. "Oh, your friend's old friend is in my Chun clan?" That middle-aged man glanced at Qin Wentian, who was standing beside Ouyang Quangxing. "I won't hide it from seniors, my friend's ex-girlfriend is named Emo Qingqing. Currently, she's in the Chung clan." Ouyang Quangxing laughed, his words causing Qin Wentian to be speechless. This fellow was truly not afraid of blowing things up. Indeed, the countenances of those from the Chun clan changed. After which, that middle-aged man casually added, "If that's the case, why hasn't Emo Qingqing come out yet? Nephew Ouyang, please don't joke around. It's up to senior to believe it or not. Also, the reason why I'm here today is because my second uncle has instructed me to pass on a message. My Ouyang aristocrat clan has always admired the might of the great solar universe art of the Chung clan. And if there's an opportunity, we would definitely like to exchange our insights. I wonder if there's an opportunity for the younger generations of both clans to interact with each other?" Ouyang Quangxing quickly changed the topic. How could this be the intention of his second uncle? It was obviously his own decision to make. However, since his spying was discovered today, he naturally had to give a reason. Although his words were polite, there was a hint of provocation in his words. He was sure that the other party would immediately forget about the earlier incident, and wouldn't make things difficult for them because of what happened earlier. The countenance of that middle-aged man changed slightly, before he laughed coldly. "Since Brother Ouyang wishes to experience it, I'll have to trouble nephew Ouyang to pass on a message for me. I'll make the necessary arrangements and send someone to inform the Ouyang aristocrat clan. I hope that when the time comes, the Ouyang aristocrat clan won't break our promise. Of course, since I've already passed on the message, this junior will take his leave first." Ouyang Quangxing bowed slightly as he signaled to Qin Wentian with his eyes, before the two of them departed. Those from the Chun clan couldn't help but snort coldly as they watched Ouyang Quangxing and Ouyang Quangxing depart. Wanting to experience the great solar universe art of their Chun clan? Since that's the case, they would grant their wish. He also wanted to see what sort of characters the younger generations from the Ouyang aristocrat clan were. At this moment, from within the Chan clan, a silhouette flew out with lightning speed, akin to a beam of golden light, chasing after Qin Wentian and Ouyang Guangxing. Zhan Chan? Those from the Chan clan all had strange expressions on their faces. Why was Zhan Chan chasing after them? Very quickly, Qin Wentian and Ouyang Guangxing discovered that there was someone chasing after them. Involuntarily, they halted in the air, and upon seeing Zhan Chan, Qin Wentian's countenance stiffened. Currently, Zhan Chen's eyes flickered with a terrifying golden light. His entire body was shimmering with a golden luster, exuding a terrifying sharpness. Zhan Chan, it seems like you've really cultivated the gold element ancient scroll. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered. The current Zhan Chan looks somewhat similar to the golden armored warrior from back then. Since you can't protect it, I'll naturally cultivate it. A terrifying light flickered in Zhan Chen's eyes, penetrating through everything, directly piercing towards Qin Wentian. Back then, you insulted my reputation, and even misrepresented a deer as a horse, saying that the assassin was me. If I don't kill you, where would my reputation go? As the sound of his voice faded, Zhan Chan advanced forward step by step. With every step he took, a terrifying sharpness could be felt pressing down on Qin Wentian and Ouyang Guangxing. Perfection boundary of the first level of the Mandate of Metal, and perfection boundary of the first level of the Mandate of Sword. Ouyang Guangxing's countenance stiffened. A long time ago, Zhan Chan was ranked number 11 on the Heavenly Fate rankings. Now, his strength had grown even stronger, and it seemed that he had also cultivated a powerful cultivation art. Let's go. Ouyang Guangxing spoke to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered as he nodded his head. The two of them sped through the air, speeding away. Zhan Chan, who had cultivated an ascendance cultivation art, exuded a demonic aura, as well as an intense sense of danger. How could Zhan Chan spare Qin Wentian? His silhouette was like the wind as he soared through the air, akin to a bolt of golden lightning. 3 silhouettes sped through the air. Just as they passed by the top of a building, a black-robed figure suddenly descended from the void. There was a loud rumble, and the entire building seemed to shake. The countenances of Zhan Chan, Qin Wentian and the rest froze. Qin Wentian turned his head, only to see that the black-robed silhouette was incomparably mysterious. His entire body was shrouded in black robes, and his figure was extremely skinny, yet he gave off an intense sense of danger. A terrifying devilish might emanated from him, and with him as the center, the air around him seemed to have transformed into a black hue. Zhan Chan halted his steps as he stared in front of him. A pair of ice-cold eyes stared at him. That pair of devilish eyes seemed to originate from the depths of purgatory, incomparably terrifying. Just a single glance was enough to cause one's entire body to shiver. Devil art. Zhan Chen's countenance stiffened. This was a forbidden cultivation art. In the entire Grand Xia, there shouldn't be any devil cultivators. Who was this person? Chapter 341. Emo Qingqing returned to her room. After Luohi's advice failed, Emo Qingqing began to concoct pills again. The cauldron floated in the air, and the scorching heat of the flames didn't seep out at all. Concocting pills was different from forging weapons. Concocting pills did not require flames that were too strong. One only needed to have perfect control over the fire, and not a single mistake could be made. Forging weapons, on the other hand, required extremely strong flames because they needed to smelt the materials. This was especially so when it came to forging high-level divine weapons. The stronger the materials, the harder it was to melt. The most crucial part of forging divine weapons was the divine imprints. The most crucial part of alchemy was one's perception. Although it seemed simple, it was actually extremely difficult. Not only that, some people's perception was innate. Some people were born with extremely sensitive perception, and were proficient in alchemy. For example, Emo Qingqing's heart of 7 apertures. Concocting a medicinal pill required too many combinations of medicinal ingredients, and the dosage had to be incomparably accurate. Every time the ingredients were combined, the sequence and the composition had to be guaranteed to be flawless. Otherwise, it would result in the medicinal pill's grade being subpar. In fact, there were even times when a mistake was made, and a medicinal pill that was meant to save lives could turn into a deadly poison. Mo Qingqing's perception had always been within the cauldron, quietly waiting. For the sake of concocting this pill, she had failed many times. The current her was already a fourth-ranked alchemist, which meant that she could concoct fourth-ranked pills with a success rate of 20%. However, for the sake of concocting this third-ranked pill, she had already failed 27 times. This was because the pill she wanted to concoct was a taboo for alchemists, the limit break pill. As the name implied, limit break pill was a pill created for the purpose of breaking through to the next level. In the cultivation of the martial Tao, one step at a time, one footprint at a time. This was the truth. Refining pills was also a kind of balance. The pills you refined could be used to strengthen the physique, improve the meridians, or even powerful pills that could change the cultivator's physique, or even resurrect the dead. However, the limit break pill was a pill that defied the logic of cultivation, breaking the equilibrium in the world. It would allow wuxio to forcefully break through to the next level, and was known as a taboo for alchemists. It required the blood and sweat of an alchemist with a unique physique to concoct it. Even if the person who concocted it succeeded, their vitality would be severely damaged, and the failure rate was exceedingly high. Hence, although the effects of the limit break pill were heaven-defying, very few people would actually attempt to concoct it. If it weren't for the fact that Mo Qingqing had prepared a large number of pills to replenish her vitality, she would have long since lost all her vitality. After a long period of time, Mo Qingqing could feel the changes within the cauldron. A hint of redness flashed past her countenance. This time around, the smelting of the medicinal ingredients was exceptionally perfect. This time we must succeed. Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes flashed with a resolute light. Instantly, a thin line of blood appeared on her wrist. Her right hand pressed against the position of her heart, and instantly, her heart's blood was forced out. Instantly, her countenance paled, and a drop of blood containing an immense amount of spiritual energy dripped down from her wrist, falling into the cauldron. Mo Qingqing's countenance was as pale as a sheet of paper. She retrieved a few medicinal pills and directly swallowed them, as a look of determination flashed in her eyes. She would definitely succeed, she definitely would. She was very clear on how strong Zhan Chun was. Although she believed in Qin Wentian, the disparity between the two of them was too great. He had put in so much effort, unceasingly making up for it. How could she remain unmoved? Zhan Chun, Qin Wentian, and Onyang Guangxing all stared at the black-robed figure, their eyes flickering with sharpness. The cultivation of this person wasn't very high, only at the 8th level of Yuanfu. However, the devilish might he exuded gave off a sense of terror. Who might you be? Zhan Chun coldly asked as he stared at the black-robed figure. Devil arts were already extremely rare. And not only that, they were forbidden arts. As long as they appeared, they would definitely be extremely terrifying. However, very few people dared to cultivate devil arts. Devil arts were tyrannical, and it was extremely easy for them to devour the user. It was one of the easiest cultivation arts to fail. Once there was the slightest mistake, it was very possible for the user to enter into qi deviation. The devil energy would devour the user, and in the best-case scenario, the user would lose their humanity and become a killing machine. In the worst-case scenario, the user would directly explode and die. Not only that, even if one succeeded in cultivating it, they would still have to go through a terrifying amount of pain. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to endure it. In order to obtain the power of the devil path, one had to endure its tyrannical nature. Hence, if one didn't have great determination and willpower, they would never choose to cultivate devil arts. Even if a devil art was placed in front of them, they would still hesitate. There was an ancient saying in Grand Xia: once one entered the devil path, there would be no regrets in this lifetime. This meaning was that for those who cultivated the devil path, there was no turning back. In the future, if they chose to cultivate the devil path, they could never regret it. If not, they would die without a burial ground. Devil cultivators on the path to becoming stronger had to endure pain that was 10 times or even 100 times greater than that of ordinary people. However, the power gained by devil cultivators would also surpass that of ordinary people. Hence, even though Zhan Chen's cultivation base was at the peak of the 9th level of Yuanfu, a hint of trepidation could be seen in the depths of his eyes. No one dared to underestimate the combat prowess of a forbidden devil cultivator. Now that this person had appeared in Ginkgo, there was no doubt that he would definitely contend for the heavenly fate rankings. It seemed like the ranking battle this time around would be extremely brutal. Scram. The voice of the black-robed figure was hoarse. It was impossible to tell if it was a man or a woman. His eyes were still fixed on Zhan Chen, and the coldness in his gaze was so cold that it could penetrate the hearts of those who saw it. It's so rare to meet a devil cultivator. How can I not fight? Zhan Chen's entire body shimmered with a golden light, as a terrifying sharpness flickered in his eyes. Although his opponent was a devil cultivator, he was already at the 9th level of Yuanfu, and he had already comprehended the gold element ancient art. His entire body was as tough as metal. There was no need to fear a battle. He wanted to see how strong this devil cultivator was. As the sound of his voice faded, Zhan Chen stepped out, advancing towards the black-robed figure. The devilish might exuding from the black-robed figure intensified, as a terrifying cold light flickered in her eyes. An extremely colding intent gushed forth, enveloping Zhan Chen, causing his countenance to stiffen. Devil arts are extremely tyrannical, and yet this person's devil art actually contains an extreme yin qi? What kind of cultivation art is this? Zhan Chen slashed out with his sword in the air, his sword light piercing through the air incomparably sharp. The black-robed figure waved her palms, as a tyrannical devil imprint blasted out. With a thunderous boom, the sharp sword was annihilated together with the terrifying devil palm. Zhan Chen placed his finger in front of him, and in an instant, the sound of sword whistling filled the air. Golden rays of light shot out in all directions, as numerous terrifying ancient swords manifested. Zhan Chen pointed his finger forward, as 9 beams of sword light shot out simultaneously, exuding a terrifying might. At this moment, he was also probing how strong the black-robed figure was. The black-robed figure continued waving her palms, as a pitch-black great heavenly devil palm blasted out, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. After destroying the 9 swords, the black-robed figure stepped out, moving towards Zhan Chen. How tyrannical were devil cultivators? How could they passively endure attacks? This black-robed figure had a skinny frame, yet at this moment, when she unleashed her devil art, she exuded a terrifying might, akin to a devil king descending from the heavens. Another palm strike blasted out, as a surge of annihilation energy gushed forth, heading straight for Zhan Chen. At the same time, the yin qi corroded Zhan Chen's entire body, causing the space around Zhan Chen to be completely enveloped by it. Devil arts are indeed powerful, Ouyang Guangxing praised. Being able to fight against Zhan Chen with a cultivation base at the 8th level of Yuanfu, one could very well imagine how powerful this black-robed figure was. Qin Wentian lightly nodded his head. At this moment, he was filled with bewilderment as he asked, "This person appeared to help us obstruct Zhan Chen. Do you know him?" Ouyang Guangxing lightly shook his head. "I don't know any devil cultivators. What about you?" Qin Wentian pondered for a moment before shaking his head. It was impossible for him to be acquainted with devil cultivators. Zhan Chen's eyes turned golden as the aura he exuded grew increasingly terrifying. Qin Wentian and Ouyang Guangxing only saw a layer of golden armor enveloping his body. Both of his hands folded into ancient seals, and in an instant, the keening of swords could be heard as golden rays of light cascaded downwards, enveloping his entire body. Numerous resplendent golden swords floated around him, as though wanting to punish the heavens and earth. Each and every one of those swords exuded a terrifying might. An expression of shock appeared on Qin Wentian's face. Was this the might of the gold element ancient scroll? Rumble! A towering demonic cloud appeared in the air, as the surrounding space turned dark. The spectators from afar gradually turned their gazes over, their hearts filled with terror. Who was it? Who was it that cultivated the forbidden devil art? In the hands of the black-robed figure, a terrifying devil king spear appeared. Terrifying demonic clouds congregated on the tip of the spear, as a tyrannical devil might permeated the air. At the same time, the black-robed figure's body was clad in a layer of devilish armor, as a fearsome devilish glow circulated around him. Chaotic art of the heavenly devil. At this moment, a voice drifted over. In the air a silhouette appeared, clad in robes as white as snow, exuding an icy aura. Her eyes were fixed on the black-robed figure, as shock could be seen flickering in her eyes. "Where did you learn this devil art from?" The black-robed figure glanced at the newcomer, as his gaze wavered. This newcomer actually recognized this devil art. This was indeed the chaotic art of the heavenly devil, one of the 9 ultimate arts of ancient Granxia. It was also the only devil art amongst the 9 ultimate arts. He had cultivated it under a stroke of good fortune, and even had a small accomplishment in it. Yunmingyi. Qin Wentian stared at the silhouette. She actually recognized this devil art? Who was Yunmingyi exactly? Let's deal with him first. Yunmingyi's gaze landed on Zhan Chen, as a terrifying light flickered in her eyes. She clenched her fists, causing the heavens and earth to be covered in frost. Instantly, a bone-chilling aura enveloped Zhan Chen, causing him to feel as though his body was being sealed in ice. The black-robed figure didn't say anything. He too dashed towards Zhan Chen. His devilish long spear erupted forth with a terrifying might, causing the entire space to tremble. Devil intent filled the skies as a fearsome devilish might swept towards Zhan Chen. If this strike landed, no one under the heavenly Dipper realm would be able to retreat unscathed. Yunmingyi's silhouette was as swift as the wind, as swift as lightning. With her mandate of wind at the perfection boundary of the first level in terms of speed, there were few in Yuanfu who could compete with her. A terrifying sense of crisis descended, and a terrifying golden light flashed in Zhan Chen's eyes. A blinding light burst forth from his body, and a destructive heaven punishing might burst forth. Countless golden punishment swords revolved around him, transforming into a resplendent screen of light. Pung! The tyrannical devil's spear slammed forth, as Yunmingyi's fearsome fist light similarly shattered. Zhan Chen's body was flung through the air as he groaned in agony. His gaze swept over to the two of them. The killing intent in his eyes was incomparably intense. He didn't expect to encounter such a situation. Both of them were extremely powerful. The spectators in the distance were all shocked. There were even people who recognized Zhan Chen, causing their hearts to tremble. Both of them were at the peak of Yuanfu, and from the exchange of blows, they could already sense how terrifying the storm would be in store for the ranking battle this time around. Chapter 342. Zhan Chen's golden eyes swept over to Yunmingyi and the black-robed figure. He knew that it was impossible for him to kill Qin Wentian today. The strength of these two were extraordinary, especially the black-robed figure who cultivated the chaotic art of the heavenly devil. Among the 9 ultimate arts of Granxia, this was the only devil path art, the chaotic art of the heavenly devil. Naturally, Zhan Chen had long heard of it. It was exceedingly difficult to cultivate this art, and the danger level was simply too high. Out of 10 people who cultivated this art, 9 out of 10 would die miserably from the backlash. Only one person could successfully cultivate this art, and if he succeeded, he would become a terrifying devil king. Who would have thought that he would witness it today? I, Zhan Chen, will remember the actions of the two of you. The ranking battle of the heavenly fate rankings is just around the corner. I, Zhan Chen, will personally experience the strength of the two of you. As the sound of his voice faded, Zhan Chen stepped on his sword as he soared through the air. The black-robed figure, as well as Yunmingyi and the rest, didn't pursue him. Zhan Chen's combat prowess wasn't inferior to theirs in the slightest. Even if they could defeat Zhan Chen, they wouldn't be able to kill him. Defeating and killing were two completely different concepts. Unless they had an overwhelming advantage in strength, they wouldn't be able to kill Zhan Chen on the spot. Clearly, they weren't strong enough to kill Zhan Chen on the spot. After the battle ended, Yunmingyi's gaze landed on the black-robed figure as she coldly asked, "Who are you exactly? How did you obtain the chaotic art of the heavenly devil?" The black-robed man's expression flickered, but his voice was still hoarse as he coldly said, "It has nothing to do with you." As the sound of his voice faded, he turned and prepared to depart. However, he only saw Yunmingyi stepping out, her movements as swift as the wind. With a wave of her hand, ice and snow descended, covering the entire space in a layer of frost. The black-robed man suddenly turned around and struck out with his demonic spear. The void trembled and the ice and snow shattered. Yunmingyi's palms trembled. Instantly, the humming of swords filled the air, as though there was a symphony of swords. Boundless sword might converged, and at the instant Yun Mengyi stretched her hand out, sword light cascaded downwards from the heavens. Buzz! As the sword descended, the world was shocked. In that instant, the world lost its color. Currently, Qin Wentian had also seen many supreme swordplay techniques. However, when Yun Mengyi's swordplay was unleashed, he couldn't help but feel astonished. This sword technique was breathtaking. The black-robed man's expression was cold. Without any hesitation, the demonic spear stabbed out once more, piercing the opponent's heart. The black-robed man's eyes were as cold as ever, ignoring the sword attack. Yun Mengyi's countenance changed. She didn't expect the black-robed man to be so ruthless. If she continued to attack, both of them would die. Soaring through the air, Yun Mengyi slashed out with her sword again, borrowing the light of the heavens and earth to slash down from the 9 heavenly layers. This is the heavenly swordplay. Ouyang Guangxing's heart trembled. As a chosen of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, his talent could be said to be outstanding, and he had seen many things. However, in this short period of time it took for an incense stick to burn, everything that happened before his eyes caused his heart to tremble unceasingly. Zhan Qin's strength was within expectations. After all, he was ranked number 11 on the Heavenly Fate rankings, and that was even before he started cultivating the Heavenly Sovereign's cultivation technique. After that, a mysterious black-robed man appeared. He cultivated the chaotic Heavenly Devil art. After that, Yun Mengyi appeared. The sword art she used was actually the Heavenly Swordplay. This sword art was also one of the 9 ultimate arts of Grand Xia. And just like the chaotic art of the Heavenly Devil, it was also an ultimate art that had been lost to time. Even Ouyang Guangxing could sense that this trip to the ancient kingdom, as well as the ranking battle for the Heavenly Fate rankings, would bring about an unprecedented storm. Enough! Qin Wentian couldn't help but berate when he saw the two of them fighting in a frenzy. Abruptly, the silhouette of the black-robed man retreated. Yun Mengyi hesitated for a moment before sheathing her sword as well. Such a scene caused Ouyang Guangxing to be dumbfounded. He stared speechlessly at Qin Wentian. Of the two in front of him, one cultivated the chaotic art of the Heavenly Devil, while the other cultivated the Heavenly Swordplay. Just a single sentence from Qin Wentian and the two of them actually stopped fighting? One couldn't help but say that such a scene was extremely bizarre. Even Qin Wentian himself couldn't help but be stunned when he saw the might of that roar. His eyes gleamed with sharpness. He still couldn't guess Yun Mengyi's identity. But this black-robed figure appeared out of nowhere and intercepted Zhan Qin. Could it be that he was really here to help him? You recognize me? Qin Wentian stared at the black-robed man as he asked. The black-robed man's deep eyes swept over to Qin Wentian as devilish qi permeated the air. Abruptly, he turned and walked away, leaving just like that. Yun Mengyi wanted to chase after him. Yet Qin Wentian interjected, "Stop right there." Yun Mengyi halted her steps as she stared at Qin Wentian, only to see Qin Wentian asking, "Who are you exactly? Why are you following me?" Cold eyes swept over to Qin Wentian before Yun Mengyi departed, causing Qin Wentian to awkwardly stand there as he shrugged his shoulders at Ouyang Guangxing. He couldn't see through these two at all. "Let's return." Ouyang Guangxing spoke as the two of them departed together. Very swiftly, the news of the earlier battle circulated around. However, the main character of the incident, Qin Wentian, was marginalized. Nobody paid attention to him, but the news of the chaotic art of the Heavenly Devil had caused quite a commotion. Other than that, there was also a rumor stating that the sword technique used by the Ice-Cold Maiden was the Heavenly Swordplay. As Qin Wentian returned to his residence, he couldn't help but to discuss the matters of Chu with Luo Huan. He didn't know how the Emperor Star Academy was doing, and that there were still his loved ones in the Sky Harmony City. However, Luo Huan didn't know much. She only knew that Chu Wuwei was trying his best to revive the Emperor Star Academy, and wanted to strengthen the Chu country. After their conversation, Qin Wentian returned to his own courtyard. The night sky was as dark as ink, and within his courtyard, Qin Wentian sat cross-legged. The matters of today had stirred up his heart. Mo Qingcheng was safe and sound, which naturally caused him to heave a sigh of relief in his heart. Seeing her safe and sound, Qin Wentian was also at ease. However, Zhan Qin's current strength made her feel threatened. Not only that, in the battle today, Zhan Qin definitely hadn't used all of his trump cards. Yun Mengyi and the mysterious black-robed figure were both exceedingly powerful. Not to mention Yang Fan from the Star-Seizing Manor and Hua Feng from the Hua clan. His goal this time around was to become one of the top 3 rankers in the Heavenly Fate rankings. Many Yuan meteor stones appeared in Qin Wentian's palms, as he prepared to use them for his cultivation. The Heavenly Fate rankings was no longer the same as before. Back then, he could easily defeat opponents 2 levels higher than him. But now, he didn't have absolute confidence that he would be able to win against the most outstanding characters of the Heavenly Fate rankings. Hence, he had to cultivate some powerful techniques first. The heaven-breaking finger left behind by the Gold Element Ascendant was extremely powerful, but its consumption of Yuan meteor stones was exceedingly high. Other than the 81 stances of the demonic art, he still needed some other powerful innate techniques as his trump cards. And now, in his memories, there was an extremely powerful innate technique. The tiny astral being was left behind by his old fogey father, and had always been Qin Wentian's greatest secret. In these 2 years, he had expended a considerable amount of Yuan meteor stones to stimulate the memories of many of his old fogey father's memories. Other than that, he had also obtained an extremely powerful innate technique. This technique was known as the Heartbreak Ancient Clock. Heartbreak, as the name suggested, was able to destroy the heart. This technique could only be activated by condensing divine energy from the ancient clock, and was exceedingly difficult to cultivate. This ancient clock was originally a 3rd-ranked divine inscription. Qin Wentian had always been cultivating this innate technique, and today he had finally completed the most important step. In that instant, he was already able to condense the divine inscriptions on the ancient clock, ensuring that he could unleash this technique as he pleased. There was another reason why this technique was so difficult. It required the aid of the rhythm of one's heart, and was exceedingly profound. Luckily, Qin Wentian had awakened the heart candle flame. He guessed that it was precisely because of this that his old fogey father was able to cultivate such a powerful and mysterious innate technique. Qin Wentian's eyes were tightly shut, yet within his body, the heart candle flame was still quietly burning. Qin Wentian attempted to connect the heart candle flame with his divine energy, as though it was fusing with his body. This process was also exceedingly difficult. In the blink of an eye, it was already deep into the night. In the courtyard, rustling sounds rang out, causing Qin Wentian to frown. Abruptly, Qin Wentian roared as he blasted out with his palms. Instantly, divine energy erupted forth as an illusory ancient clock appeared in the air. Yun Mengyi was leisurely strolling about when she suddenly felt her heart pounding. Her beautiful eyes instantly froze, and upon seeing the ancient clock in front of her, she grabbed out with her palms. Boom! The sound of the bell reverberated through the air. Yun Mengyi groaned in agony as her heart pounded violently, as though someone was stabbing it with a sword. Her beautiful eyes opened as she stared at Qin Wentian. What kind of innate technique was this? It was actually so unfathomable. What are you doing here? Qin Wentian opened his eyes, staring at Yun Mengyi as he asked. Cold Yun Mengyi's countenance, she stared at Qin Wentian as she asked, "What innate technique is this?" Heartbreak Ancient Clock, Qin Wentian calmly replied. Heartbreak, it's very powerful. Yun Mengyi continued, if your cultivation base broke through to the 8th level of Yuanfu, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to withstand the continuous reverberations of the ancient clock. Qin Wentian didn't say anything, he only stared at Yun Mengyi. Now that it was nighttime, why would Yun Mengyi come to his residence? Although I'm not a beauty capable of toppling empires, I'm still considered a beauty. Why do you dislike me so much? Yun Mengyi couldn't help but ask when she saw the coldness in Qin Wentian's eyes. Qin Wentian was somewhat bewildered. He didn't expect Yun Mengyi to say such a thing. This doesn't seem like the you I knew before. Qin Wentian's voice was as cold as ever. Before this, I was only pretending to be cold. If you like me, I'm willing to give up everything for you. A gentle smile abruptly appeared on Yun Mengyi's face. She slowly walked towards Qin Wentian, placing her hands on her shoulders as she took off her white robes. Momentarily, her fragrant shoulders were revealed, as well as her sexy collarbones. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows. This Yun Mengyi was becoming more and more abnormal. What do you want exactly? Qin Wentian coldly asked. Yun Mengyi allowed her white robe to fall to the ground. Her alluring figure actually moved to the side of Qin Wentian, softly leaning on Qin Wentian's shoulder as she asked, "Are you not moved by me at all?" Qin Wentian turned, placing his hands on Yunmengyi's soft and supple shoulders. He could feel the coldness of Yunmengyi's skin as he shifted his gaze downwards, staring at that alluring spot. Yunmengyi's countenance changed. "Humph!" Qin Wentian waved his hands as the white robe flew over. He draped it over Yunmengyi's shoulders as he coldly stated, "If there's nothing else, don't disturb my cultivation." Yunmengyi's countenance changed. After which she stood up and flicked her sleeves. It was unknown if she was blaming Qin Wentian for being so insensitive. Chapter 343. As Qin Wentian watched Yunmengyi depart, his heart couldn't help but be in a state of chaos. Yunmengyi was as beautiful as a snow lotus on a mountain of ice. It was impossible for Qin Wentian to not be moved by her actions. After all, he was a hot-blooded young man who had yet to experience the pleasures between a man and a woman. However, his state of heart was already extremely tough, hence he was naturally able to control himself. This Yunmengyi was becoming more and more of an enigma, blocking his vision. After contemplating for a moment, Qin Wentian closed his eyes and continued his cultivation. He needed to have as many trump cards as he could before the ranking battle of the heavenly fate rankings began, to contend against the demon-level geniuses of Grand Xia. Early the next morning, several transcendent powers in Ginkgo received invitations from the great Solar Chun clan, inviting the younger generations of their Chun clan for a gathering. And this matter was caused by the young master of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, Ouyang Guangsheng. It was rumored that Ouyang Guangsheng was incomparably audacious. He actually personally went to the great Solar Chun clan to challenge them, wanting to spar with the younger generations of the great Solar Chun clan. Hence, the great Solar Chun clan invited several transcendent powers over. Other than the Ouyang aristocrat clan, there were also the Shi clan of Ginkgo, the Hua clan and the Pill Emperor Hall of the Moon Continent, the Wang clan of the War Continent, and the Swallow Swordsman. This caused many to be startled, because the Chun clan's invitation this time around had a deeper meaning. In the 9 continents of Grand Xia, there were a total of 36 transcendent powers. And among them, the 9 strongest transcendent powers were also known by the public. These 9 transcendent powers were as follows: Ginkgo, Venerate Heaven Sect, Chun Clan, Shi Clan, Moon Continent, Pill Emperor Hall, Hua Clan, War Continent, Wang Clan, Azure Continent, Ouyang Aristocrat Clan, Demon Continent, Sky Demon Sect, Swallow Continent, Swallow Swordsman. Among them, Ginkgo was the strongest, with the Moon Continent second. The transcendent powers invited by the Chun clan were all in there. Only the Venerate Heaven Sect and Sky Demon Sect weren't invited. The status of the Venerate Heaven Sect was unique. They could determine the rankings of Grand Xia. Once upon a time, the founder of the Venerate Heaven Sect was an official in charge of the Imperial Astronomical Observatory of Grand Xia, and he had the ability to peer into the fate of Grand Xia. There were rumors saying that if the rebellion back then didn't have his support, it would have been impossible. Naturally, he was able to predict many things. Hence, the later generations all believed that the founder of the Venerate sect was the most important person among the traitors. Not only that, other than the Ouyang aristocrat clan, the other 5 powers that were invited by the Chun clan were all established by the 9 traitors of Grand Xia. In Grand Clan, the Ouyang clan was the Ouyang, the clan of the Chun. The Ouyang aristocrat clan was currently on the way to the Chun clan. As Qin Wentian and Ouyang Guangxing chatted about this topic, waves of shock could be felt in his heart. Back then, he had personally witnessed the leader of the 9 grand clans acting against Princess Tianyu in the Divine Steel. He didn't know which power was the founder of that young man. I to say the Qin of the ancient emperor. The ancient to say, of Chun of and, to, the Qin's ti the that he, to say the tut the that the clan and his two, of course they were. If it weren't for the destruction of the other 2 transcendent powers, Grand Xia would still be governed by the 9 grand clans. Qin Wentian sighed. Of course they were. If it weren't for the destruction of the other 2 transcendent powers, the current Grand Xia would still be governed by the 9 grand clans. Ouyang Guangxing nodded. One must know that although the Ouyang aristocrat clan and Sky Demon sect replaced them and joined the ranks of the 9 grand clans, they are still ranked at the bottom. Not only that, back then, there were 9 grand clans in Grand Xia. Each of them occupied one of the 9 continents, ruling over an entire prefecture. But after that, the strongest clan in Ginkgo was annihilated. Only then did the Venerate Heavens sect, Chang clan, and Shi clan return to Ginkgo. The Hua clan moved to the central region of Grand Xia, the Moon continent, and as time passed, the other major powers rose up as well, forming the current Grand Xia. Ouyang Quangxing sighed as he recalled the events of the past. The current Grand Xia can no longer be referred to as an empire. It's too fragmented, with the various kings vying for supremacy. No transcendent power could unify Grand Xia. Back then, the ancient kingdom of Grand Xia was simply too powerful. The Pill Concoction clan became the current Pill Emperor Hall. The Weaponsmithing clan became the current Wang clan of the War continent. The Imperial Astronomer clan became the Venerate Heavens sect. The warring clans became the Chan clan, Shi clan, Swallow Swordsman. If it wasn't for the fact that the Pill Concoction clan weakened greatly over the past few thousand years, they would have been even more terrifying. Impressive, but didn't stellar martial cultivators grow stronger and stronger? Why did the strength of Grand Xia gradually weaken? Fan Lu was also seriously listening at the side. At this moment he couldn't help but interject. I heard that there's a possibility that there are other transcendent powers outside of Grand Xia. Maybe it's because of the weakening of Grand Xia. Those outstanding geniuses knew that they couldn't advance any further in Grand Xia. Hence they chose to leave. If the overall strength of Grand Xia was tyrannical, there's no need for them to leave. Ouyang Quangxing didn't know much about this, hence he casually guessed. Qin Wentian and the rest nodded their heads lightly. There was some logic in his words. Isn't this the same as the 9 continents in Chu? If Chu was as strong as the 9 continents, there's no need for us to travel from Chu to the 9 continents. In that case, the outside world is even more terrifying compared to Grand Xia. Chu Mang mumbled to himself, yet his words caused Qin Wentian's countenance to change. What was the limit of cultivation? How vast was the land of the 9 continents? Could supreme experts really be like what the rumors said, able to shatter the heavens and earth, pluck the stars from the heavens? As they spoke, they landed outside the Chang clan. Momentarily, their silhouettes landed on the ground, showing their respect to the Chang clan. Outside the Chang clan, there were already people welcoming them, leading them into the Chang clan. I'm so excited to see my little lover. Luo Huan couldn't help but smile when she saw Qin Wentian staring at her. She already knew of the news regarding Mo Qingcheng. Back then it was just a joke, but who would have thought that today they would actually become a couple? Both of them were so outstanding, it was just that there seemed to be some difficulties between them. Sis, don't tease me. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. The group of them arrived at the location of the Chan clan's banquet. It was actually an island located in the heart of a lake. Walking along the corridors of the pavilions, they could hear beautiful maidens playing music in the middle of the lake. The island in the heart of the lake was extremely vast, and there was even a training platform in the middle of it. At this moment there were already many people present. Upon seeing the arrival of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, a middle-aged man immediately walked over, laughing. The Ouyang aristocrat clan's presence brings light to our humble dwelling. Brother Chun is too polite. The person in the lead of the Ouyang aristocrat clan was none other than Ouyang Quangxing's second uncle, Ouyang Long. He clasped his hands towards the middle-aged man, as a smile appeared on his face. There are so many guests today. If there are any areas where the hospitality is lacking, please don't take offense. There are seats over there, please take a seat. The person from the Chan clan pointed in a certain direction. Ouyang Long nodded his head as he smiled. Brother Chun, feel free to do as you please. After speaking, the person from the Chan clan left with smiles on his face. Ouyang Long and the rest found a seat and sat down. Many in the crowd turned their gazes over, only to see the Ouyang aristocrat clan personally accompanying the guests. Such a scene was naturally noticed by those from the Ouyang aristocrat clan. Their countenances flickered with unhappiness. It seemed like the Chun clan was intentionally doing this to show off their might. Although their words were polite, they were clearly disrespecting them. Qin Wentian only felt a cold glint of light boring into him. He turned his gaze over in a certain direction, only to see Wang Zhao's gaze was as sharp as a blade. Beside him, Xiao Xian from the Mystic Maiden Palace had also accompanied him here. wanting to experience the various powers of Grand Xia. Today, out of the 7 transcendent powers of Grand Xia, other than those from the Ginkgo continent, the other 6 would all be here. The people from the War continent truly have a sharp aura. Qin Wentian mused as he swept his gaze over to the crowd in Wang Zhao's direction, after which he turned his gaze over, only to see a group of silhouettes clad in white, with ancient swords strapped to their backs. They must be the Swallow Swordsmen. There were also those from the Hua clan and the Pill Emperor Hall. His gaze instantly landed on Luo He. At this moment, Luo He was currently chatting with the leader of the Hua clan. The Hua clan had always wanted to get closer to the Pill Emperor Hall. Hence, they also had the intention of forming a marriage alliance. Luo He seemed to have sensed something. She turned her gaze over, instantly landing on Qin Wentian as her eyes turned sharp. Qin Wentian only felt an immense pressure bearing down on him. Luo He's countenance was filled with coldness as she stared at him. It was precisely because of this young man that her disciple, Mo Qingcheng, couldn't forget about him. In fact, even her status as a master couldn't be compared to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian. Not far away from Luo He, Zhan Chen's eyes flickered with a golden light as he stared at Qin Wentian, his killing intent unmasked. Those from the Hua clan also turned their gazes onto Qin Wentian. Was this young man the one who killed Hua Xiaoyun? Their gazes were extremely cold when they stared at Qin Wentian, as though Qin Wentian was already a dead man. The Hua clan didn't care about Hua Xiaoyun's death. That was because Hua Xiaoyun was a silk pants who often stirred up trouble outside. Other than those closest to him, no one else would feel pity for him. Although they didn't care about Hua Xiaoyun's death, Qin Wentian's death was undoubtedly a humiliation to the Hua clan. Naturally, they wouldn't care because there was someone else who would make Qin Wentian die. Hua Taishu, who had always doted on Hua Xiaoyun, would definitely not allow Qin Wentian to live for too long. As long as he was alive, Qin Wentian would definitely die. Other than Zhan Chan among the Chan clan, Chan Ran's gaze was exceptionally cold when he stared at Qin Wentian. However, he didn't dare to reveal anything. After all, he had been defeated by Qin Wentian. He didn't have the face to mention this matter in front of everyone. He didn't have the face to seek revenge from Qin Wentian, because that was a defeat. How would he dare to speak of the humiliation of being defeated in front of so many people? Qin Wentian's countenance was as calm as ever. Just based on what Hua Xiaoyun had done to Mo Qingcheng, if he had the chance again, he would still kill him without hesitation. This matter wouldn't affect his state of mind. Zhan Chan was a ruthless person, willing to use any means necessary to achieve his goals. He even killed the person who loved him. Since he wanted to kill Qin Wentian, why wouldn't Qin Wentian want to kill Zhan Chan as well? At the end of the corridor, another group of silhouettes walked over. They were none other than the members of the Shi clan. Those from the Shi clan all had demonic expressions on their faces. Their long hair was as black as ink, incomparably black, and they exuded a cold and imposing aura. It's rumored that the members of the Shi clan possess the bloodline of a primordial beast, and are natural-born warriors. They once chased after the ancient kingdom of Grand Xia, conquering everything under the heavens and unifying Grand Xia. Ouyang Guangxing spoke in a low voice, causing a look of bewilderment to appear on Qin Wentian's face. Those from the Shi clan actually possessed the bloodline of a primordial beast. Chapter 344. The Shi clan's situation involuntarily made Qin Wentian think of himself. In his body there were 2 types of bloodlines. One of them was the bloodline of a primordial demon king. Even though his cultivation base was already at the 7th level of Yuanfu, he still hadn't unearthed the secrets of his bloodline. The 2 types of bloodlines in his body contained boundless potential, waiting for him to slowly discover them. The people of the Shi clan sat down, and immediately, the crowd gradually took their seats. Maids continuously prepared the banquet and placed it in front of the crowd. The atmosphere was relaxed as if it was a banquet, without the slightest bit of anger. The various transcendent powers also seemed to be in harmony with each other. But who would have thought that they had been secretly competing for supremacy for so many years? It's an honor for all of you to come to my Chang clan. The new generation will replace the old, and now that I'm able to see the rising stars of the younger generations, I feel gratified in my heart. In the direction of the Chan clan, The person in the lead was clad in luxurious robes that had the image of a dazzling sun engraved on it. Brother Hua, why isn't nephew Taishu here? The middle-aged man from the Chun clan glanced in the direction of the Hua clan as he asked. In terms of rising stars, Hua Taishu was undoubtedly the number one. He had already dominated the heavenly fate rankings for many years. Taishu is currently breaking through to the second level of Heavenly Dipper. In the direction of the Hua clan, a person smiled, his countenance filled with faint arrogance, causing the countenances of the crowd to stiffen. Hua Taishu was indeed worthy of his title as the top ranker of the Heavenly Fate rankings. Now that he was already breaking through to the second level of Heavenly Dipper, there was no doubt that he was already widening the gap between him and the other rankers. Haha, seems like nephew Taishu will definitely become a hegemon of the Hua clan in the future. The person from the Chun clan laughed. With Hua Taishu's outstanding talent, he had already surpassed all his peers and even the elders of the Hua clan. If this continued, the position of leader of the Hua clan would definitely belong to Hua Taishu in the future. Isn't nephew Chan Wang the same as well? The person from the Hua clan politely replied. Chan Wang of the Great Solar Chun clan wasn't referring to a certain Heavenly Dipper king, but rather it was the second ranker of the Heavenly Fate rankings. His name was Chan Wang, and it was rumored that the Chun clan had high hopes for him to become the next Great Solar Chun clan. He can't, he's still stuck at the peak of Yuanfu. The person from the Chun clan waved his hands with a smile. Nephew Chan Wang naturally has his reasons for staying at Yuanfu. That person from the Hua clan casually laughed. He had heard that Chan Wang could have broken through to Heavenly Dipper long ago, yet he was still stuck at Yuanfu. How is nephew Shurpatian? The people from the Chun clan changed the topic and looked in the direction of the Shur clan. Shurtian he Chan Wang Wang. Same old, the others have all broken through, but he's still stuck at the 9th level of Yuanfu. That person from the Shur clan replied. The person from the Chan Chun Chun laughed. Wang. The person from Chan Chun 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 of the Chun clan said. Wang. The person from the Chun clan laughed. I wonder how strong the 5th-ranked Azure Emperor is. That brat has always been a mystery. We won't interfere in the matters of the younger generation. For the ranking battle this time around, we will just be spectators, Luo he calmly stated, causing the gazes of many to shift in the direction of the Pill Emperor Hall. I wonder how strong the 5th ranker is, Emperor Azure. He's always been mysterious. That's true, the strongest juniors in the Heavenly Fate rankings are all gathered here today. Let's just watch the show. The middle-aged man from the Chun clan casually laughed. Every time the Heavenly Fate rankings came up, the various transcendent powers would be extremely concerned. In Granxia, there had always been a rumor saying that the Heavenly Fate rankings determined the fate of Granxia. The juniors of the transcendent powers would be the most outstanding, and the higher the rankings they obtained, the better the luck of that transcendent power would be. The juniors of the strongest transcendent powers in Granxia had always monopolized the rankings of the Heavenly Fate rankings. Granxia was a power established by the 7 ancient empires. They had monopolized the top 3 rankings for countless years, and there were no exceptions. This kind of monopolization was especially true for the few powers in Ginkgo. Luo He, I heard that the female disciple you accepted, Mo Qingcheng, possesses the heart of 7 orifices and is a beauty capable of toppling empires. I've yet to meet her. What's the purpose of your visit today? Someone asked. That lass painstakingly cultivates, she doesn't like crowds. Luo He casually replied. But as the sound of her voice faded, her countenance stiffened as she smiled. But today, I'll still be here to pay my respects to the various elders. As the sound of her voice faded, a few silhouettes drifted over from afar. The female in the lead was clad in white, elegant and transcendent. Her countenance was flawless and flawless. There was nothing to nitpick about her. This caused the countenances of many in the crowd to stiffen. Even those of the elders couldn't help but feel their hearts trembling. No wonder a character like Hua Taishu was interested in her. How could anyone not fall in love with such a woman with the talent of the heart of 7 orifices? As for the juniors of the transcendent powers, their gazes froze as they stared at that fairy-like countenance. Their hearts involuntarily palpitated. Everyone loved beauty. No matter if it was a person with extraordinary talent or a mediocre and incompetent person, there was no exception. Luo Huan nudged Qin Wentian's arm, causing Qin Wentian to smile bitterly at her as he whispered, "Sis, stop fooling around. She seems to be even more beautiful than before. Could it be that cultivation really has the effect of enhancing one's looks? Seems like I have to work harder as well." Luo Huan laughed. The current Mo Qingcheng was glowing with a mystical light, only to see Mo Qingcheng arriving in the direction of the Pill Emperor Hall, bowing to Luo He as she called out, "Master." Quickly pay your respects to the various elders." Luo He nodded lightly. Mo Qingcheng bowed to the crowd. Her every movement was filled with elegance, stirring the hearts of many of the juniors. It was as though they had just found their dream girl. Qingcheng pays her respects to the various elders. Mo Qingcheng spoke in a low voice, after which she shifted her gaze in the direction of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, and upon seeing Qin Wentian looking at her, a hint of mischievousness flashed past her eyes, causing Qin Wentian to be stunned. Warmth flowed in his heart. Such an expression reminded him of the past. Many of the juniors rubbed their eyes. What happened earlier? Did they see wrongly? Luo He, congratulations on accepting a good disciple. I wonder if you already have someone in your heart? If not, can you take a look at the juniors of my Chun clan? The middle-aged man from the Chun clan laughed. Just when Luo He was about to reply, Mo Qingcheng replied, reporting to senior, I already have someone in my heart. Oh, the countenance of the middle-aged man from the Chun clan stiffened. Could it be that Mo Qingcheng had really fallen in love with Hua Taishu? But given Hua Taishu's talent, the two of them were indeed more suitable for each other. Naturally, there was also the possibility that it was Zhan Chan. After all, they were both disciples of the Pill Emperor Hall, and could be considered as fellow apprentice siblings. It wasn't strange for feelings to develop over time. I wonder which outstanding talent it is to have such good luck. The middle-aged man from the Chun clan laughed. You all will know him after the ranking battle. Mo Qingcheng replied with a smile. Mo Qingcheng smiled as she replied. Her words caused many in the crowd to have expressions of shock on their faces. In that case, it wasn't Hua Taishu. In fact, it might not even be Zhan Chan. Let's not talk about this matter for now. Luo He was somewhat unhappy as she indifferently stated. The middle-aged man from the Chun clan nodded. His gaze finally shifted in the direction of the Ouyang aristocrat clan. A few days ago, nephew Ouyang Guangxing wanted the younger generations of the Ouyang aristocrat clan to spar against the younger generations of my Chun clan. Hence, this banquet was held today. I invited all of you here today not only to catch up on our friendship, but also to see how the cultivation of our younger generations are progressing. Chan Wang, Shirpatian, and the rest were all in the future. Evidently, they didn't intend to allow those juniors to clash against each other earlier. The ranking battle was their true stage. Ouyang Guangxing's cultivation base was merely at the 7th level of Yuanfu. If he wanted to spar, the Chun clan would naturally satisfy him. Is everyone interested? The middle-aged man from the Chun clan smiled as he stared at the crowd. How do we spar? The middle-aged man from the Wang clan asked. Since nephew Ouyang's cultivation base is at the 7th level of Yuanfu, let's set it at the same level. Each faction will choose one of their members to spar, while the others will choose their own to support them. Let's see who is the strongest. How about it? The middle-aged man from the Chun clan laughed. This spar is only to liven up the atmosphere of the banquet. There's no need to be too serious. Sure, do you want to bet something? Someone in the crowd laughed. Fine, the final victor can make a request to the other transcendent powers. As long as the request isn't too excessive, and the other transcendent powers have no objections, they can agree to it. How about it? The middle-aged man from the Chun clan continued, as the others nodded their heads. A spar between juniors was only for the sake of liveliness. The main purpose of the Chun clan today was to humiliate the Ouyang aristocrat clan. They knew that other than Chan Wang, there was another demon-level character at the 7th level of Yuanfu who wasn't any weaker compared to Chan Wang. Since everyone has agreed, let's begin the sparring. As the sound of the middle-aged man's voice faded, two figures walked out from the direction of the Chun clan. As expected, it's Chan Zhan. The gazes of the spectators sharpened as they stared at one of them. Chan Zhan's talent was exceedingly terrifying, able to fight against opponents at the 9th level of Yuanfu. His comprehension of the great solar universe art was also extremely high. Will you accompany me? Ouyang Quangxing stared at Qin Wentian. For this battle, if Qin Wentian accompanied him, there would be no suspense at all. Qin Wentian nodded his head lightly. After hearing the words of the middle-aged man from the Chun clan, he instantly decided that he would participate in this battle. The conditions he would propose were simple, but to him they were extremely important. The two of them exchanged glances and laughed as they stepped onto the sparring platform. The other participants from the 6 transcendent powers also stepped out. Wang Xiao was also among them. His gaze wasn't on Chan Zhan from the Chang clan, but was fixed on Qin Wentian instead. He knew that Qin Wentian was even more terrifying compared to Chan Zhan. Before Qin Wentian had ascended the heavenly steel steps, he was already able to fight against Sitapu without losing. Not only that, his improvements on the heavenly steel steps were not small. Now, even Wang Xiao felt that his combat prowess was unfathomable. But one thing was for sure, he was definitely extremely powerful. The great Solar Qin clan's plan had failed. Qin Wentian, you killed a member of my Hua clan. Today I want to teach you a lesson. In the direction of the Hua clan, a young man coldly spoke. Qin Wentian didn't even bother to glance at him. The auras of the various transcendent powers were all extremely powerful. The middle-aged man from the Chun clan laughed as he prepared to explain the rules of the sparring. Ouyang, I don't want to waste time, Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice, causing Ouyang Quangxing to freeze. What was this fellow trying to do? After which, Qin Wentian pulled Ouyang Quangxing along as he took a step forwards. For people of our generation, if we want to battle, we should strive to be the strongest. The countenances of the spectators froze as they stared at Qin Wentian. What did this young man mean by that? After which, they only heard Qin Wentian continuing. There's no need for any rules. All of you, come at me together. Ouyang Quangxing's heart trembled. This fellow. But to Qin Wentian, sparring with someone on the same level as him was indeed meaningless. Chapter 345. Qin Wentian's calm voice caused the entire space to turn silent, so silent that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Ouyang Quangxing had declared that he wanted to spar with the youths from the great Solar Chun clan. The Chun clan wanted to use this opportunity to humiliate Ouyang Quangxing. Yet at this moment, the person beside Ouyang Quangxing actually dared to say, all of you, come at me together. Although the participants on the stage were all at the 7th level of Yuanfu, in terms of combat prowess, any one of them could easily kill an ordinary 8th level Yuanfu cultivator. The 6 transcendent powers were currently the strongest 6 out of the 9 transcendent powers in Grand Xia. The 12 outstanding youths were all prepared to display their prowess. They would be missing out on the ranking battle this time around, and even if they participated, they wouldn't be able to become the most dazzling existences. But if they could display their prowess here, they would be able to gain some glory for their clan lord. Who might you be? Chan Zhan from the great Solar Chun clan asked. He didn't even know who this person was. Among the spectators, other than those from the Hua clan and Pill Emperor Hall, the vast majority of them didn't know who Qin Wentian was. Maybe, this was the first time he appeared in the eyes of the transcendent powers in Grand Xia. But of course this wouldn't be the best. At this moment, the spectators still hadn't realized that from today onwards, this young man would cause a tempest in Grand Xia. Qin Wentian. A calm voice drifted out from Qin Wentian's mouth. Chan Zhan's countenance flickered with the light of the great solar sun, resembling a ball of fire. Chan Zhan took a step forward, causing the earth to tremble. Chan Zhan's body was bathed in the sun's rays, blinding the eyes of the spectators as he arrogantly stated, arrogant words, not knowing the immensity of the heavens and earth. The 2 of us from the Chun clan shall fight the 2 of you first. The others didn't move. To them, a group of people ganging up on Qin Wentian wasn't something to be proud of. Chan Zhan's combat prowess was high. They would let him test how strong Qin Wentian was. Qin Wentian clenched his fists as he took a step forward, standing together with Ouyang Quangxing in the middle of the stage. All of you do as you please. Qin Wentian gathered a terrifying power in his palm, and wisps of demonic aura filled the air. Boom! Chan Zhan stepped out, staring at Qin Wentian. The great solar universe energy gushed forth from his body as a fearsome might gushed forth. The spectators could clearly feel the scorching heat radiating from it. Abruptly, Changjan soared up into the air. Standing there in the air, rays of sunlight cascaded down from the heavens, enveloping him in an armor of light. Suddenly, 9 cosmic Samflar swords appeared in the air, blazing flames sweeping through the air. Kill! The cosmic Samflar sword slashed down from the heavens, leaving 9 beams of light in its wake, as though 9 blazing suns were slashing towards Qin Wentian. He wanted everyone to know that he was Changjan of the Great Solar Chung clan. Only to see Qin Wentian inclined his head, staring at Changjan. His body actually soared up into the air with the cosmic Samflar sword in his hands. His palms trembled as he directly blasted out a palm strike, shattering the cosmic Samflar sword into nothingness. Changjan's countenance changed, but it was only for an instant. Qin Wentian wasn't strong, he wasn't a challenge at all. However, at this moment, a terrifying gaze pierced through his eyes of flames. Changjan only felt his mind shuddering violently, while the spectators only saw Qin Wentian stepping out, instantly appearing in front of Changjan and punching out with his fist. Changjan howled in rage as the cosmic Samflar storm erupted forth. Pung! With a clean and direct punch, Changjan's body was directly flung through the air. Splashing sounds rang out as the lake water splashed everywhere. Changjan fell into the lake. Suppression of strength. The eyes of the spectators below were all extremely sharp. They instantly understood that Qin Wentian had used his absolute advantage in strength to suppress Changjan. In front of absolute strength, all methods and innate techniques were useless. Strength to defeat 10, strength to break 10,000 techniques. Below, Ouyang Quangxing was fighting against another young man from the Great Solar Chan clan. Similarly, Ouyang Quangxing had the absolute advantage. With a single punch, his opponent was forced back onto the platform, coughing out blood. The Ouyang aristocrat clan against the Great Solar Chan clan. A complete victory. At this moment, everyone understood that if they were to exchange pointers, none of them would be a match for the Ouyang aristocrat clan. Only to see Qin Wentian stepping out as he dove downwards, staring at Wang Xiao. He coldly spat out a single word, "Scram." As the sound of his voice faded, Wang Xiao only felt a terrifying pressure bearing down on him. His countenance drastically changed as a boundless sharpness gushed forth from him. The 2 young men from the Wang clan soared up into the air, only to see Qin Wentian blasting out with another palm strike. An incomparably gigantic 8-palm imprint blasted out as the 2 young men from the Wang clan were both flung through the air. Bang! A raging wind gusted by as 5 to 6 silhouettes simultaneously soared up into the skies. Their astral souls erupted forth as they lunged towards Qin Wentian. Numerous terrifying tempests swept past, enveloping Qin Wentian as a terrifying pressure bore down on him. At the same time, there were 2 other cultivators moving towards Ouyang Quangxing. Seeing how tyrannical Qin Wentian was, they knew that if they continued to wait, they would all be swept away. In the air, Qin Wentian flicked his sleeves as he stared at the incoming cultivators. His long hair was as black as ink, allowing the tempests to rain down on him. He stood at his original location, unmoving. In an instant, the cultivators all landed beside Qin Wentian, unleashing all sorts of terrifying attacks. At this moment, Qin Wentian blasted out with a palm strike. Boom! The sound of a bell reverberated through the air, shaking the heavens and earth. The sound of the bell resonated in the hearts of those around Qin Wentian, causing their hearts to tremble violently. Groaning in agony, blood seeped out from the corners of their mouths. Boom! Yet another bell chime. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as the crowd only saw towering amounts of demonic qi in the air. That black-haired young man had unleashed a barrage of attacks. Pong, pong, pong. A series of suppressive attacks erupted forth, and the young men from the various transcendent powers were all blasted back to their respective clans, coughing out blood as their countenances paled. The young man stood proudly in the air. Even though he was just standing there casually, he gave off the illusion that he was unparalleled in the world. At this moment, the crowd couldn't help but think of a phrase. Unrivaled in the same cultivation realm. Such combat prowess could indeed be said to be unrivaled in the same cultivation realm. The countenances of those from the various transcendent powers flickered as their countenances turned unsightly. Only those from the Ouyang aristocrat clan had smiles on their faces. Seems like Ouyang Quangxing was right back then. This young man who dared to beat up Ouyang Ting in the Ouyang aristocrat clan was truly a character. Only Duan Qingshan and Ouyang Ting had unsightly expressions on their faces. How did this young man grow so strong so quickly? In the direction of the Pill Emperor Hall, Luohi's eyes flashed with sharpness. This young man was extraordinary. No wonder Qingcheng couldn't forget him. Qin Wentian already had the demeanor of a transcendent void cultivator, suppressing all those on the same level as him. He was unrivaled in Grand Xia. When he stepped into the 9th level of Yuanfu, there was no doubt that he would become the top ranker of the heavenly fate rankings. Emo Qingqing's beautiful eyes flickered with a brilliant light. If this was the case, she was even more confident in Qin Wentian. He would definitely be able to defeat Zhan Shan. The battle below also concluded. Ouyang Quangxing had defeated 2 of his opponents, but his brilliance was completely overshadowed by Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian landed on the ground, standing shoulder to shoulder with Ouyang Quangxing. Ouyang Quangxing laughed. "Seniors, I have a request from my brother, Qin Wentian. I hope that all of you would be able to fulfill it. If it's not too overboard, I'm sure no one would reject it." The countenance of the middle-aged man from the Chun clan flickered with coldness. How could he smile in such a situation? Only to see Qin Wentian shifting his gaze in the direction of the Pill Emperor Hall. His eyes landed on Luo He as he stated, "Junior's request is that I hope Senior Luo He can agree to a private chat with your disciple, Emo Qingcheng, for an hour. This request shouldn't be too overboard, right?" The countenances of Luo He and Zhan Chan froze, only to hear Zhan Chen interjected, "Martial uncle, junior apprentice sister is a heaven's chosen. How can she meet with others alone?" Strange expressions appeared on the faces of those from the various transcendent powers. This young man was so outstanding, yet he couldn't resist the charms of a beauty. Upon seeing a character like Emo Qingcheng, he actually wanted to go on a date with her? How interesting. However, no matter how outstanding Qin Wentian was, it was still impossible for him to pursue Emo Qingcheng. "An hour? Master, I have no problem with that." Emo Qingcheng obediently replied, as though she was afraid that her master, Luo He, would make things difficult for her. However, Luo He's heart was as clear as a mirror. How could this last have any objections? "Senior Luo He, since this is a promise made by all the elders, and Emo Qingcheng herself has agreed to it, I'm sure Senior wouldn't go back on your words, right?" Ouyang Quangxing stated. Only then did Luo He reply, "It's in the vicinity. Disciple understands." Emo Qingcheng nodded her head as she stepped forward. Qin Wentian smiled. "Miss Qingcheng, please follow me." After speaking, he turned and walked away, with Emo Qingcheng following behind him. The 2 of them left the island, and upon witnessing this scene, many of the youths had expressions of jealousy on their faces. This man was truly good at wooing women. So it turns out that he's also a lecherous person, coveting the beauty of others. Ouyang Ting cursed in a low voice. When she saw Emo Qingcheng's countenance, how could she not feel jealousy in her heart? "It's rare for us to gather together. Let's continue the banquet." The middle-aged man from the Chun clan spoke. As for Qin Wentian and Emo Qingcheng, they walked far away from each other. The further the better. Not long after, they arrived at the residence of the Pill Emperor Hall. Emo Qingcheng halted her steps as she turned her head to look at Qin Wentian. She couldn't help but to giggle, as beautiful as 100 flowers blooming at the same time. "Dumbo, to think that you can think of this." At this moment, Emo Qingcheng had removed her disguise. Her saintly beauty was now revealing the demeanor of a little girl, exuding a sense of mischievousness. If others were to see her current demeanor, they would surely be stunned silly. Qin Wentian didn't say anything, he only stared at Emo Qingcheng. Emo Qingcheng's heart pounded rapidly as she rolled her eyes. "What are you looking at? It's been a long time since I've seen you. I naturally want to see you to my heart's content." Qin Wentian walked up, coming to the side of Emo Qingcheng. Staring into Qin Wentian's eyes, Emo Qingcheng leaned forward, leaning into his embrace as she spoke in a gentle voice. "It has been tough on you during these years. Am I not doing very well? What about you? How are you doing in the Pill Emperor Hall?" Qin Wentian asked. "Not too bad, master treats me very well." Emo Qingcheng pulled Qin Wentian along as they walked to the side of the river. She took out a small porcelain bottle from her robes and passed it to Qin Wentian. This is a third-ranked limit break pill. Back then when I met you, I accidentally succeeded in concocting it. However, I only managed to produce 5 pills in a single cauldron, but it's sufficient. For this type of pill, only the first pill will have an immense effect. If you consume it a second time, it would be a waste. Take it. Although she spoke casually, Qin Wentian had no way to imagine how much effort she had put into concocting this batch of pills. Chapter 346. Limit-breaking Dan? Qin Wentian took the bottle from Imo Qingqing's hands, feeling a little taken aback. This name, could it help one break through to the next level? As long as your cultivation base is stable, there shouldn't be a problem for you to break through to the next level in the Yuanfu realm. I've kept one for myself, so that we can meet again during the ranking battle. Imo Qingqing winked mischievously. Qin Wentian's eyes also brightened as he leaned in closer to Imo Qingqing, causing her to smile in response. Such a heaven-defying medicinal pill must have been extremely difficult to concoct, right? Your alchemy skills and your cultivation base have both improved by leaps and bounds. How did you manage to reach such a level in the past few years? Qin Wentian stared at Imo Qingqing's beautiful countenance, his gentle voice causing one to feel a sense of warmth in their hearts. He could already imagine how hard Mo Qingqing had worked these past few years. You're already a 4th-ranked grandmaster. How can I fall behind? That's why I'm already a 4th-ranked alchemist. As for my cultivation base, it's actually very simple. Master said that I have the 7 apertures exquisite heart, and ever since it was awakened, I've been enlightened, and my comprehension abilities have become even more powerful. Imo Qingqing swung her legs in a relaxed manner. 4th-ranked grandmaster, 4th-ranked alchemist, don't you think we're a good match? As she spoke with a smile, Imo Qingqing felt that something was wrong. Qin Wentian's eyes were fixated on her, and his body was slowly leaning forward. What are you doing? Imo Qingqing felt her 7 apertures exquisite heart pounding rapidly, as a faint blush appeared on her face. Who would stare at someone like that? Qin Wentian's head got nearer and nearer, almost touching Imo Qingqing's head. The two of them could even feel each other's breaths. Imo Qingqing's heartbeat quickened, her body stiffened, and her shaking legs stopped moving. Why was she so nervous? This damnable Dumbo, what was he trying to do? Following which, Imo Qingqing felt her entire body tightening as she was embraced by a certain someone. Her heart pounded violently, and before she could even let out a cry of surprise, her lips were pressed against his. The first kiss of the pitiful number 1 beauty of Chu was snatched away just like that. A light sound rang out as their lips parted. Under the dumbfounded gaze of Imo Qingqing, a certain someone licked his lips, as though he hadn't had enough. After which, he turned his head and stared at the small river ahead as he spoke in a low voice. The scenery here is so beautiful. Imo Qingqing fiercely glared at him. He actually dared to praise the scenery? It was too hateful. Qin Wentian weakly turned his head, staring at Imo Qingqing's soul-stirring eyes as he smiled. Qingqing, what's wrong? Imo Qingqing stretched out her hands and grabbed onto Qin Wentian's waist, twisting it violently. Humph! Qingqing, I just don't want to be called a fool by you again. Qin Wentian defended himself. Only then did Imo Qingqing spare him. What do you plan to do then? Don't worry, I will be responsible for you, Qin Wentian righteously stated, causing Imo Qingqing's lips to twitch. No way, I want you to return it to me now. Qin Wentian's face was filled with black lines. How can I return it? Fool. Imo Qingqing giggled as she stroked her hair. That tiny movement of hers was so beautiful that it was suffocating. What made Qin Wentian even more dumbfounded was that Imo Qingqing's arms wrapped around his neck as she pressed her lips against his, taking the initiative to give herself to him. Qin Wentian's eyes were wide open, as his eyelashes fluttered. His closed eyes seemed to be able to speak, filled with boundless emotions. Qin Wentian's heart was about to melt, as he tightly hugged the girl in front of him. The two of them used choppy movements to feel each other's breaths, exchanging the emotions in the depths of their hearts. The sound of their heartbeats could be heard clearly, as though they were composing a song of love. After a long time their lips parted. Imo Qingqing's face was already completely red, as she shyly glanced at Qin Wentian. after which her body softly leaned into Qin Wentian's embrace, as she stared at the flowing river, silently feeling the heartbeat of Qin Wentian. A radiant smile appeared on Qin Wentian's face, as his heart was filled with boundless tenderness and warmth. All of this was worth it. Tightly hugging the beauty in his embrace, they didn't say anything else. Any words would be useless. They were using their hearts to communicate. An hour seemed to pass by in the blink of an eye. Mo Qingcheng still couldn't bear to leave Qin Wentian's warm embrace. Her eyes were red, as a crystalline tear rolled down her cheeks. However, her beautiful eyes were still filled with a smile. How wonderful would it be if time stood still, never to flow? Mo Qingcheng murmured. Upon hearing that intoxicating voice, Qin Wentian felt an unbearable pain in his heart, as he replied in a low voice, "It's all my fault for being useless. I didn't have the ability to keep you by my side." Upon hearing Qin Wentian's words, Mo Qingcheng stood up and pressed her finger against Qin Wentian's lips, as she whispered, "I forbid you to say such things." "Fine, I won't say it, but I will do my best to redeem everything." Qin Wentian stared at the traces of tears at the corner of Mo Qingcheng's eyes, as an incomparably intense obsession appeared in his heart. That obsession took root in the depths of his heart. "I believe in you, I will always believe in you." Mo Qingcheng smiled radiantly, causing the surrounding scenery to become even more beautiful. In the ranking battle for the Heavenly Fate rankings, you have to defeat Zhan Chan no matter what. Master promised me that as long as you defeat him, he wouldn't interfere in my search for you. Right. Qin Wentian nodded his head. Staring at the silhouette in front of him, Qin Wentian laughed, not even mentioning Zhan Chan. "Even if I have to topple the entire Pill Emperor Hall, I will make sure to keep you by my side forever. I will wait for you." Mo Qingcheng slowly stood up, pulling Qin Wentian's hand as she smiled. "I will return to my room first. I won't be returning to the banquet. You can stay here for a while longer. I will be able to see you even when I'm in the pavilion." Even if Master knew about this, he wouldn't say anything. "Okay, I will stay here." Qin Wentian nodded his head. Mo Qingcheng reluctantly released his hand, as she turned and walked away. Qin Wentian stared at the graceful silhouette of Mo Qingcheng as she slowly walked away, an indescribable feeling in his heart. When he was young, the first time he tasted love was because of that beautiful silhouette. Amidst the snowflakes, the word Dumbo had caused a seed to germinate in his heart. And now this seed had gradually taken root, growing stronger and stronger. He knew that from now onwards, that beautiful silhouette of Mo Qingcheng had already been deeply imprinted in his heart, never to be erased. Love, this sort of thing, would cause people to feel a sense of wonder and warmth, yet it would also cause people's hearts to ache and feel conflicted. Drawing in a deep breath, Qin Wentian slowly turned around, continuing to sit there. The obsession in his heart grew stronger and stronger. It was as though he could see the traces of tears at the corner of Mo Qingcheng's eyes. It was because of his incompetence causing her to cry. It was because of his incompetence causing her to feel so miserable. If he could look down on this entire world with disdain, who would be able to obstruct him from being together with the person he loved? Closing his eyes, his intense perception permeated the air, enveloping this entire space as it extended outwards. He saw that Mo Qingcheng had already returned to the pavilion. She was currently lying on the eaves of the pavilion, smiling as she stared at his silhouette. When he saw that beautiful countenance, as well as the gentle smile on her face, the obsession in his heart grew stronger and stronger. His perception also grew stronger, and was still frenziedly expanding outwards. This entire space was transparent to him, there was no obstruction at all. He saw many servants of the Chun clan bustling about, enduring the scoldings of their masters. He saw a cultivation ground. A young miss of the Chun clan was currently standing there, staring down at a servant who was kneeling on the ground. She was using vulgar words to insult her, saying that she didn't raise her demonic beast mount properly. Weak strength, inferior to a mount. He saw the direct descendants of the Chun clan sitting in their own pavilions, flipping through secret manuals of innate techniques. His perception even drifted back to the island in the center of the lake, where the banquet was held. The people there were all feigning civility. This time around, there was actually no one who noticed that Qin Wentian's perception was currently spying on them. In Qin Wentian's body, the candle flame was still flickering. It was like the flame in his heart, able to see through everything in this world. Qin Wentian felt that his perception was about to connect with this world. Under the influence of that obsession, he unknowingly entered a wondrous state. Such a state of enlightenment was exceedingly difficult to obtain. There were countless people who would never be able to enter this state even once in their entire lives. Mo Qingqing's peerless countenance, the expressions of the people at the banquet, the people living in the Chan clan, the sound of flowing water, the melody of the wind, all of these things entered his ears clearly. Qin Wentian felt that he could touch their existence. What is a state of cultivation? Qin Wentian asked himself. Being able to see through everything, to be able to clearly hear the rhythm of the world, was a state of cultivation. What is a will? Qin Wentian asked himself again. With a single thought, he could break free from the restraints on his body and establish a connection with the external world. This was a state of cultivation. In that case, the second level of mandates wouldn't be so difficult to comprehend. Splashing sounds rang out as the water in the river started to move, as though there was a force acting on it. In the middle of the river, water gushed out, transforming into a water column, only to see Qin Wentian slowly standing up. The water column grew taller and taller as it gushed towards the sky. Force is everywhere, Qin Wentian murmured. With a thunderous rumbling sound, the water column soared up to the skies. At the instant Qin Wentian opened his eyes, the water column fell back into the river, transforming into flowing water as it flowed away into the distance. Turning around, Qin Wentian turned his gaze towards the horizons. His eyes penetrated through space, staring at that beautiful smiling face. Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes flickered, as though she was pleasantly surprised. With a sweet smile, that smile transformed into the entire world. Chapter 347. Mo Qingqing naturally understood that Qin Wentian's will was able to cause the pillar of water to surge forward. He had broken through. There was a kind of will of mandates that had broken through to the second level. To Qin Wentian, a breakthrough in his mandate was too important. He was very clear on how intense the ranking battle this time around would be. Those ranked at the top would definitely not be simple characters. Not only that, they had been stuck at the peak of Yuanfu for so many years. Although they had yet to step into Heavenly Dipper, how could the strongest among them not have comprehended the second level of mandates? The second level of mandates was one of the prerequisites for stepping into Heavenly Dipper. There were many who failed to comprehend the second level of mandates, and were forever stuck at the peak of Yuanfu. One could very well imagine the significance of this breakthrough to Qin Wentian. It increased his chances of ranking on the Heavenly Fate rankings. I'm leaving, Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. Mo Qingqing smiled and nodded her head. During the ranking battle, I will tell everyone in the world that you are my woman. Qin Wentian's calm voice was akin to a vow, causing Mo Qingqing's heart to tremble. Qin Wentian stepped out as he departed. His heart was filled with an unprecedented resolution. After returning to the island in the lake, the gazes of many in the crowd coldly swept over Qin Wentian. This fellow had actually exceeded the time limit of an hour. They had no idea what he discussed with Mo Qingqing. However, even if Qin Wentian's talent was outstanding, his cultivation base was still too low. Not only that, he had no background. Wanting to woo Mo Qingqing was nothing but a fool's dream. Naturally, they wouldn't understand the relationship between Qin Wentian and Mo Qingqing. Only a select few from the Pill Emperor Hall would know. Bai Fei cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian. Back then when she first met Qin Wentian in Chu, she would never have dreamt that such a day would come. After the banquet was over, everyone left one after another. Qin Wentian and the others were walking in the mansion of the Chan family, when they suddenly felt a glaring light. The strong sunlight seemed to be going back in a certain direction. The gazes of the crowd shifted in a certain direction only to see that at the top of a building, a young man stood there with his hands clasped behind his back, staring at the sun in the sky. Behind him, there seemed to be a sun floating there as well, incomparably resplendent, causing the entire space around him to be exceptionally resplendent. Great solar universe art. Borrowing the light of the great sun, someone had a look of shock on his face as he whispered, "That is the great solar Chan clan's most outstanding heavens chosen of this generation, Chan Wang. Number 2 on the Heavenly Fate ranking, Chan Wang." Qin Wentian turned his gaze over only to see that at this moment, Chen Wang seemed to have sensed something. His eyes slowly turned over as he stared in Qin Wentian's direction. Instantly, a surge of heat akin to the rays of the sun radiated forth. In Chen Wang's eyes there were blazing suns. Such a high temperature. The crowd only felt as though the temperature of the air was rising. Many of the Heavenly Dipper sovereigns from the Ouyang aristocrat clan had expressions of shock on their faces. As expected of great solar Chen Wang, with a single glance his mandate could penetrate through space. This was a second-level mandate. Because Hua Taishi wouldn't participate in the ranking battle this time around, Chen Wang from the Great Solar Chen clan was the one with the highest chance of obtaining the position of the top ranker. He had already been at the peak of Yuanfu for a few years now, and had long since made preparations to break through to Heavenly Dipper. Not only that, his mandates had already broken through to the second level. This Chen Wang is so powerful. Ouyang Guangxing's eyes flashed with sharpness. In the ranking battle that happens once every 3 years at the very last moment, those geniuses would reveal all their trump cards. Only then would you realize that they have been concealing their true combat prowess. Not only that, I have a feeling that the ranking battle this time around will be even more intense than before. I wonder if the transcendent powers will be able to monopolize the top few spots on the heavenly fate rankings, seizing the fate of Granxia once again. Could it be that there's really such a thing as luck? Qin Wentian didn't really believe this. Although it was said that luck was extremely important in the path of cultivation, there would always be people stronger than you. If your luck was bad, you might offend others, and if you died, you wouldn't be considered a genius. Not only that, there were many secret realms in the Tianwu continent that required luck as well. But to say that obtaining one of the top few spots on the heavenly fate rankings would allow the transcendent powers to increase their luck, Qin Wentian didn't believe it at all. Maybe it's something that exists in the netherworld. It can't be seen nor can it be touched. However, fate still exists. Back then, if it wasn't for the fact that the Venerate Heaven sect had foreseen the end of Granxia, how would they have dared to rebel and destroy Granxia? Ouyang Guangxing casually laughed. Returning to the inn, Qin Wentian called Ouyang Guangxing, Fan Lu, Chu Mang and Luo Huan to his courtyard. What's the matter? Chu Mang asked Qin Wentian. I have some good stuff for you guys. Qin Wentian smiled as he retrieved a porcelain bottle. This is a third-rank limit break pill concocted by Qingcheng. It can aid those at the Yuanfu realm in breaking through to the next level. Currently, Big Bro Chu Mang's cultivation base is at the 8th level of Yuanfu, while Fan Lu and Ouyang Guangxing are the same as me, at the 7th level of Yuanfu. All of us will be participating in the ranking battle this time around, and if we consume this limit break pill, we'll have a higher chance of getting a higher ranking. Mo Qingcheng can actually concoct limit break pills? Ouyang Guangxing had an expression of astonishment on his face. He naturally knew what limit break pills were. This type of pill was extremely valuable, and even if one wanted to purchase it at a sky-high price, they wouldn't be able to find a place to purchase it. This is something that requires the blood of a cultivator with a unique physique to be able to successfully concoct it. Ouyang Guangxing stared at Qin Wentian as he continued. Wentian, Mo Qingcheng treats you so well, don't let her down. Qin Wentian froze as he drew in a deep breath. Qingcheng spoke so casually, so it turned out that she had to pay such a high price to concoct this pill. Do you think it's possible? Qin Wentian calmed his heart as he laughed. Ouyang Guangxing nodded his head. That's right. She's the heavens chosen of the Pill Emperor Hall. Not only that, she has a countenance that can topple empires. It'd be strange if you were willing to part with her. Sister, Qingcheng only concocted 4 pills. Qin Wentian stared at Luo Huan, causing her to roll her eyes. Who do you think your senior sister is? Work hard and fight for the top position in the heavenly fate rankings. At that time, your senior sister will be able to shine in the limelight. How difficult is it? Ouyang Guangxing laughed. Although he had high hopes for Qin Wentian, it was truly too difficult to obtain the top position. Not only that, there would always be a few dark horses appearing in the ranking battle every 3 years. These dark horses were either hidden geniuses from the transcendent powers, or they were personally guided by a hidden expert, using the ranking battle to make a name for themselves in the Heavenly Fate rankings. The Heavenly Fate rankings included all Yuanfu realm cultivators in Granxia. Being able to rank within the top 360 was already considered extremely dazzling. If one could rank within the top 36, their glory would be limitless, and they would be considered a heavens chosen in the 9 continents. For those in the top 10, they would definitely be able to soar up to the heavens in the future. For those in the top 3, as long as they didn't die, they would be able to ascend to the Heavenly Dipper rankings sooner or later, becoming an extremely influential character in Granxia. There was only one, and that person would be the focus of everyone's attention in Granxia. In the entire Granxia, there was only one such person. Although it was only the number 1 in the Yuanfu realm, the meaning it represented was already extremely shocking. The number 1 in the Heavenly Fate rankings would definitely be able to ascend to the Heavenly Dipper rankings in the future. The various heavens chosen all stared at that one ranking. If they wanted to obtain it, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. And precisely because of this, Hua Taishi was so dazzling. His name was the idol of countless youths. Even for Ouyang Guangsheng, Hua Taishi was his idol, his goal. Qin Wentian distributed the limit break pellets to the rest. Big Bro Chu Meng can break through to the 9th level of Yuanfu first. As for the 3 of us, we can wait a little longer. If we can break through to the 8th level before the Heavenly Fate ranking battle, that would be even better. I can already sense that the 8th level of Yuanfu isn't far away. For now, there's no need for limit break pellets. Ouyang Guangxing nodded. Not only that, we've already experienced the baptism of the heavenly steel. Our mandates and state of hearts have all undergone a refinement. There shouldn't be any problems for us to use the limit break pellets to break through. I'm going to cultivate then. Chu Meng spoke. His cultivation base was the highest. As long as he stepped into the 9th level of Yuanfu, there wouldn't be too much pressure for him to ascend to the Heavenly Fate ranking. Right. Qin Wentian nodded. Everyone dispersed, returning to their own courtyards. The inn they were staying in had been fully booked by the Ouyang aristocrat clan. The people staying in the courtyards were all from the Ouyang aristocrat clan. For a transcendent power like the Ouyang aristocrat clan, this little bit of wealth couldn't be considered anything. At this moment, at the reception area of the inn, a silhouette glanced at the signboard to confirm that he wasn't mistaken. After which, he turned his gaze towards the interior of the inn. The members of the Ouyang aristocrat clan should be staying here. Qin Wentian should be here as well. Excuse me, are the few of you from the Ouyang aristocrat clan? At this moment 3 silhouettes walked out of the inn. The one in the lead was a beautiful maiden clad in a fiery red robe. This maiden was none other than Ouyang Ting. Ouyang Ting glanced at the person who spoke. He was a middle-aged man with a few strands of white hair. His expression was haggard, and his aura was unstable. His cultivation base wasn't very high. He was an extremely ordinary person. Ouyang Ting stared at him as she asked, "What's the matter?" Mustang didn't show any temper when he heard the arrogance in her tone. After all, he had heard of the Ouyang aristocrat clan. This maiden was dressed in luxurious robes, and her beauty was dazzling. It was only natural for her to be arrogant. "Miss Ouyang, may I ask if you know of Qin Wentian? I heard that he's staying here, and I'm looking for him." Mustang's tone was filled with humility. Upon hearing his words, Ouyang Ting's brows furrowed. Qin Wentian, it was Qin Wentian again. Whenever she heard this name, she would feel extremely annoyed. In the Ouyang aristocrat clan, this man had long since stolen her limelight. Even the members of the Ouyang aristocrat clan treated him with respect. "Who are you to him?" Ouyang Ting asked in a cold tone. "I'm his teacher," Mustang replied humbly, yet his tone was filled with caution. "Teacher?" Ouyang Ting stared at Mustang. How could that arrogant fellow have such an old man as his teacher? This place is the Ouyang aristocrat clan. How can a character like you have the qualifications to enter? Scram. Ouyang Ting spoke in a cold tone, with hints of humiliation in her tone. Mustang's countenance stiffened. Drawing in a deep breath, he replied, "Miss, I have an important matter to discuss with him. I hope Miss can accommodate me." "Fine, come beg me then." Ouyang Ting coldly laughed. "If you beg me, I might be merciful and let you in." Chapter 348. Ouyang Ting's hatred towards Qin Wentian had never dissipated. During this period of time, Qin Wentian's performance grew more and more dazzling, but this only served to stab at her heart. As a direct descendant of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, she was humiliated by Qin Wentian. Yet she didn't even have the chance to seek revenge. Now that this old man claiming to be Qin Wentian's master appeared in front of her, how could she not humiliate him? Naturally, the reason why Ouyang Ting had such confidence was because of the person beside her, Duan Qingshan. No matter how outstanding Qin Wentian's performance was, his surname was still Qin. Although he was close to Qin Wentian, he had yet to join the Ouyang aristocrat clan. No matter which aspect one looked at, Duan Qingshan could completely suppress Qin Wentian. Duan Qingshan was ranked number 25 on the Heavenly Fate rankings. At least for now, he wasn't someone that Qin Wentian could compare to. In that case, Ouyang Ting didn't need to worry about humiliating an old man. Mustang's countenance turned incredibly unsightly, but thinking of the importance of this matter, he could only lower his voice and bow. "Miss Ouyang, please let me in. Why can't I feel any sincerity in your request?" Ouyang Ting coldly replied, "Who do you think you are? Do you even have the qualifications to look at me as equals?" Mustang clenched his fists as his countenance turned incredibly unsightly. He didn't expect this Ouyang Ting to be so difficult to deal with. "Miss Ouyang, I have the heart to ask for your help. Miss Ouyang's status is so high, why must you make things difficult for me?" Mustang spoke. Although he came from Chu and his status was low, he couldn't stand the humiliation of a young maiden. "What? I'm making things difficult for you?" Ouyang Ting's voice turned ice cold, as a cold light flickered in her eyes. "Old fellow, do you think it's beneath me to make things difficult for someone like you? Who do you think you are? This isn't a question of whether you want to enter or not. Apologize first." Duan Qingshan quietly watched from the side, sighing in his heart. It seemed like the incident of Ouyang Ting being humiliated by Qin Wentian was a huge blow to her. She had been suppressing her emotions, unable to let go. Since that was the case, he might as well let her vent her frustrations. "Miss Ouyang, how did I offend you to make things so difficult for me?" Rage flashed in Mustang's eyes. However, as the sound of his voice faded, Duan Qingshan took a step forward as a powerful pressure bore down on Mustang. Mustang inclined his head and stared at Duan Qingshan. In the blink of an eye, Mustang felt a piercing pain in his eyes. That oppressive aura caused his body to tremble involuntarily. The strength of this young man was many times stronger than him. "Kneel down and apologize," Duan Qingshan calmly spoke, his tone containing an unquestionable authority. Mustang's heart trembled violently as he inclined his head to stare at Duan Qingshan. This young man exuded an extraordinary aura, and his strength was terrifying. He was undoubtedly an important character of the Ouyang aristocrat clan. However, Mustang had never imagined that before he even saw Qin Wentian, he would already be humiliated in such a manner. "If I've offended you in any way, please forgive me. I shall take my leave." Mustang clenched his fists tightly as he bowed, intending to leave. "I want you to kneel down and apologize," Duan Qingshan slammed out with his palm, causing Mustang to feel a violent tremor in his chest. Puff! Mustang spat out a mouthful of blood as his countenance turned pale. This moment he was in a dilemma. He wanted to leave, but the other party wouldn't allow him to. "You can kill me, but you can't humiliate me." Mustang inclined his head and stared at Duan Qingshan and Ouyang Ting, his eyes filled with rage. He had asked them a question out of goodwill, yet he was humiliated again and again. Although the Chu country was a small place, Mustang was a teacher of the Emperor Star Academy. Normally, he would guide the juniors of the younger generation and treat the students with kindness and respect. Since when had he ever suffered such humiliation? Just because of a slight disagreement, he was forced to kneel down and apologize? Not only that, he didn't even know how he had offended the person in front of him. At this moment, members of the Ouyang aristocrat clan walked out from the inn. They heard the commotion and came over to see what was happening. They saw someone who had offended Duan Qingshan and Ouyang Ting, and was forced to apologize. However, this person seemed to have some backbone, and would rather die than submit. "I can kill you with a wave of my hand, but I feel that it's beneath me to do so," Ouyang Ting coldly replied. "But if you refuse to apologize, I don't mind making a move myself. I'm looking for my disciple Qin Wentian. Why are you guys humiliating me like this? Mustang roared in rage, sweeping his gaze over the crowd. Momentarily, the expressions of the crowd froze. So this person was here to look for Qin Wentian. No wonder. Now they could understand why Ouyang wanted him to kneel down and apologize. Because she had once been forced to do so by Qin Wentian. It seemed like she wanted to take revenge for that kneeling incident. However, wasn't this person who claimed to be teacher Qin Wentian a little too weak? How could he have taught a disciple like Qin Wentian? The crowd didn't interfere. This was a grudge between Ouyang and Qin Wentian. Why would they interfere? They would only be asking for trouble. Mustang swept his gaze over the crowd, as he felt a chill run down his spine. All of you stay your hands. At this moment a cold voice rang out. After which, two beautiful silhouettes stepped out from the inn. They were none other than Luo Huan and Jiang Ting. These two beauties got along quite well when they were together. Jiang Ting was Ouyang Quangxing's fiancée, while Luo Huan was Qin Wentian's senior apprentice sister. Initially, they had planned to go out for a walk, but who would have thought that they would encounter such a situation? What made Luo Huan even more furious was that the person being forced was actually her teacher, Mustang. Go look for Wentian. Luo Huan spoke in a low voice to Little Rascal, who was in her embrace. After which, Little Rascal transformed into a white shadow as it sprinted towards the inn. Luo Huan knew that Little Rascal was extremely intelligent and could understand human speech. This was why she did this. She ran to Mustang's side as she called out, "Teacher? Luo Huan, why are you here as well?" Mustang stared in astonishment at the person who just appeared. Not only that, Jiang Ting, who was beside Luo Huan, had an extraordinary demeanor and was extremely beautiful. Could it be that she wasn't someone from the Ouyang aristocrat clan? Jiang Ting's beautiful eyes flickered, as though she had realized what had happened. After which she turned and walked away. At this moment there was no point for her to stay here. The most important thing for her to do now was to look for Ouyang Quangxing. "Teacher, I'm with junior brother Wentian." Luo Huan pulled on Mustang's arm as she coldly stared at Duan Qingshan and Jiang Ting. "What are you guys doing to my teacher?" "It's really Qin Wentian's master." At this moment, the crowd finally confirmed that Luo Huan was Qin Wentian's senior apprentice sister. It seemed like Qin Wentian had once cultivated in a small sect. "There's no place for you to speak here. How dare you act so arrogantly in my Ouyang aristocrat clan?" Scram. Ouyang Ting mocked. Luo Huan's beautiful countenance stiffened as she coldly replied, "Junior brother Qin and I are guests here. No matter what, we are still considered guests. Do you think your words represent the Ouyang aristocrat clan? What does this have to do with you? I'm telling you to scram." A long whip appeared in Jiang Ting's hands as she coldly stated. Seeing the matter getting more and more out of hand, she felt extremely uncomfortable in her heart. "If you want to spar, I can accompany you." A long whip appeared in Luo Huan's hands as she stood in front of Mustang, glaring at Jiang Ting. Duan Qingshan glanced at the increasing number of people in the surroundings, as an expression of unhappiness appeared on his face. And at the same instant Qin Wentian, who was quietly cultivating in his courtyard, suddenly heard the sound of a babbling voice ringing out in his mind, filled with impatience. This was the voice of Little Rascal. It wanted to speak but it didn't know how to. Opening his eyes, Qin Wentian saw Little Rascal sprinting towards him, circling in front of him. Instantly, Qin Wentian understood that something must have happened. Closing his eyes, his powerful perception instantly gushed forth, radiating outwards in all directions. In an instant, his perception enveloped the entire inn. At this moment, the inn was exceedingly quiet, as though nothing had happened. However, Ouyang Quangxing and Jiang Ting could be seen hurriedly dashing towards the exit of the inn. Qin Wentian's perception continued to spread out, arriving outside the inn. Instantly, his brows twitched as he saw the silhouette of Mustang. "Teacher." Qin Wentian's heart trembled. Senior sister Luo Huan was standing beside Mustang, facing off against Duan Qingshan and Jiang Ting. "If you still don't move aside, kneel down together with that old bastard. Maybe this young miss will let this matter slide." Ouyang Ting's voice drifted into Qin Wentian's ears. "Don't count on Qin Wentian. This old dog offended me, and even dared to say that this young miss is deliberately making things difficult for him. Even if he's here, he'll still be useless. Rumble. A terrifying coldness gushed forth from Qin Wentian. With just a single sentence, Qin Wentian faintly understood what had happened. Since his teacher had appeared here, it should be because he was looking for him. And since Ouyang Ting knew that Mustang was his teacher, how could she not make things difficult for him? Is that so? A cold voice drifted down from the heavens, directly landing outside the inn. Qin Wentian, who was in the inn, soared up into the skies, causing the people outside to all raise their heads as their countenances stiffened. This was Qin Wentian's voice, but where was he? Ouyang Guangxing and Jiang Ting were the first to arrive, but an instant later, the crowd felt a terrifying coldness emanating from them. Inclining their heads, they saw a silhouette descending like the wind, exuding a terrifying demonic aura. A sense of rage gushed forth from Qin Wentian. Evidently, Qin Wentian was enraged. His cold eyes swept over to Ouyang Ting, and in an instant Ouyang Ting only felt a bone-piercing coldness. An intense killing intent gushed into her body, causing her to tremble uncontrollably. The look in Qin Wentian's eyes grew more and more terrifying. Ouyang Ting's heart trembled as her countenance paled. Why was she so afraid of him? She was a young miss of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, and with Duan Qingshan around, what did she have to fear? Today she had to humiliate this old fellow. A raging wind gusted by as Qin Wentian's silhouette appeared beside Mustang. The coldness radiating from him retracted, and looking at the haggard countenance of his teacher, Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with guilt. "Teacher, you've suffered." Qin Wentian walked forwards, only to see a smile flickering in Mustang's eyes. He could feel Qin Wentian's tyrannical aura, causing his heart to tremble. Even when facing Ren Qianxing and the others, he wouldn't feel such a feeling. Evidently, the most outstanding disciple he had ever taught had grown at a terrifying speed in the past few years. "I'm fine." Mustang held onto Qin Wentian's hand, his heart filled with emotions. His slightly wrinkled palm patted Qin Wentian's hand as he spoke in a gratified tone. "Seeing that all of you are well, I can rest at ease. Teacher, let me settle the matters here first." Qin Wentian stood beside Mustang, as he turned and stared at Duan Qingshan and Ouyang Ting. His eyes gleamed with a cold light, as an intense coldness enveloped the entire space. "Ouyang Ting, your actions today are unforgivable." As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, his killing intent gushed forth, enveloping Ouyang Ting. A thunderous boom rang out, and the crowd only saw Ouyang Ting groaning in agony, as blood seeped out from the corners of her mouth. Chapter 349. Upon seeing the blood seeping out from the corner of Ouyang Ting's mouth, a sharp glint of light flickered in the eyes of the spectators. Qin Wentian hadn't even launched an attack yet. Was his mandate already so strong that it could directly injure Ouyang Ting? Duan Qingshan stepped forward, arriving in front of Ouyang Ting. A powerful aura gushed forth from him, sweeping towards Qin Wentian. "If you attack again, even if you are a guest of the Ouyang clan, don't even think about leaving this place alive. You really overestimate yourself." Qin Wentian continued walking forward, and at the instant his foot landed on the ground, a terrifying shockwave blasted onto Ouyang Ting's body. Ouyang Ting's countenance paled as she bent her body and coughed out a mouthful of fresh blood. Her countenance was as white as paper. Inclining her head, Ouyang Ting stared at Qin Wentian with a gaze that couldn't even be described with the word anger. She wanted nothing more than to slice this person in front of her into 1,000 pieces, to wash away the humiliation she had suffered time and time again. Earlier, she had said that even if Qin Wentian arrived, it would still be useless. But now Qin Wentian directly crushed her, injuring her. A raging wind gusted by as Duan Qingshan's silhouette disappeared from his original location. Qin Wentian's provocation, he had finally made his move. Duan Qingshan released 2 astral souls. These were his second and third astral souls, originating from the 4th heavenly layer respectively. These 2 astral souls were respectively known as the Windstorm Astral Soul and the Gigantic Leg Astral Soul. Duan Qingshan was proficient in leg techniques, and the might of his attacks were extremely terrifying. The strength of a human's legs was already terrifying, but it wasn't as nimble as one's hands. However, if one were to crazily train their legs, they would also be incomparably agile. Duan Qingshan had already cultivated his innate techniques to an extremely profound level. This time around he released his astral souls to battle. He had to suppress Qin Wentian, and let others know that his, Duan Qingshan's, woman, wasn't someone that Qin Wentian could humiliate. This was already the second time. At this moment under Duan Qingshan's feet, another two illusory legs appeared. He stood in the air, as though he was standing on the ground. Duan Qingshan lifted his gigantic leg and descended from the sky, ruthlessly sweeping towards Qin Wentian. A strong pressure pressed down on Qin Wentian's body. At the same time a strong wind whistled. That clumsy-looking gigantic leg was actually moving at a terrifying speed. At this moment, the crowd felt an irresistible pressure pressing down on them from the sky. Martial will. Qin Wentian instantly sensed the will of Duan Qingshan's mandate. Not only that, there were 3 types of mandates at the perfection boundary. The first was the first-level insight of the mandate of Great Earth gravity. The second was the first-level insight of the mandate of wind speed. The third was a type of mandate that Duan Qingshan had comprehended from his gigantic leg astral soul. Hence, in that instant the pressure that Qin Wentian was enduring was extremely terrifying. The ground beneath his feet emitted cracking sounds as it directly shattered. From this one could see how much pressure he was enduring. As for Mustang and Luo Huan, their countenances were as pale as a sheet of paper. The ground trembled and crumbled. Qin Wentian stared at the terrifying pressure as he soared up into the skies. Lifting his palms, a terrifying draconic imprint blasted out, colliding against each other in the air. Qin Wentian and Duan Qingshan were both suspended in the air. Battle! Qin Wentian actually wanted to battle against the heavens chosen of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, Duan Qingshan. This scene caused the hearts of many to tremble. Duan Qingshan's strength couldn't be said to be weak. He was ranked number 25 on the Heavenly Fate rankings, and ranked within the top 36. Qin Wentian was only at the 7th level of Yuanfu, yet he actually dared to clash head-on with Duan Qingshan. The difference between the two of them was an entire 2 levels. Today you shall pay the price for your actions, Duan Qingshan icily stated. Do you think you can obstruct me with just your strength? Qin Wentian laughed as he swept his gaze over. Ouyang Ting, who was about to lift her head, screamed in agony as her countenance paled. You! Duan Qingshan's rage burned. Qin Wentian actually dared to humiliate his woman in front of him. Qin Wentian's legs trembled as 2 powerful beams of light shot towards Luo Huan and Mustang. Qin Wentian coldly laughed as he punched out with his fists, shattering the 2 beams of light. Stubborn fool. The center of Qin Wentian's brows glowed with a resplendent light as it swept towards Ouyang Ting. Ouyang Ting screamed in agony as she knelt on the ground, her entire body drenched in cold sweat. Even if those from the Ouyang aristocrat clan wanted to help her, they had no way to do so. Qin Wentian's attacks were too bizarre. It was as though he could even attack with his gaze. Duan Qingshan roared in rage. With a twist of his body, both of his legs smashed towards Qin Wentian. Instantly, the afterimages of his legs filled the skies, as though wanting to engulf the entire heavens and earth. Duan Qingshan's leg techniques were incomparably exquisite, able to be fast or slow at will. They could be as swift as the wind, or as heavy as a mountain. The demonic qi radiating from Qin Wentian permeated the skies as his body transformed into that of a terrifying demonic beast. With a howl of rage akin to the roar of an ancient ape, the heavens and earth trembled as the earth crumbled. A screen of demonic qi enveloped his body, and even when the afterimages of Duan Qingshan's legs slammed into him, they were actually unable to break through his defense. Despite Duan Qingshan's strength, he actually had no way to injure Qin Wentian. From this one could see how terrifying his demonic physique was. However, how could Duan Qingshan be an ordinary person? His body was like a tempest as a gigantic foot stomped down on the heavens and earth, leaving a gigantic footprint in the air. This gigantic foot stomped towards Qin Wentian's head, as though it wanted to crush Qin Wentian into pieces. This sort of pressure was too terrifying. Qin Wentian clenched his fists tightly as a terrifying glint of sharpness flickered in his eyes. In that case, he would let Duan Qingshan experience the might of the second-level mandate of force that he had comprehended. His fist blasted out with indomitable might, blasting towards Duan Qingshan's gigantic foot. It was akin to an insignificant ant trying to shake a gigantic elephant. How foolish and ignorant, like an ant trying to shake a tree. How could an ordinary fist collide with Duan Qingshan's terrifying sure-kill kick? Although that fist seemed to be imbued with Qin Wentian's immense strength, the feeling it gave off was that it could be easily crushed into pieces. The insignificant fist collided with the incomparably terrifying astral leg. And indeed, the spectators only saw Qin Wentian's body being flung through the air as he groaned in agony as he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. The strength contained in that kick was incomparable. Even Qin Wentian could feel his internal organs trembling violently from the impact. Wiping away the blood at the corners of his mouth, he stared coldly at Duan Qingshan, only to see Duan Qingshan calmly standing there. In that instant earlier he felt a terrifying surge of energy gushing into his body, wanting to destroy his life force. Blood gushed up to his throat, but Duan Qingshan's countenance sank as he forcefully suppressed the blood in his mouth, after which he swallowed it back down. His internal organs were still trembling from the impact, and he circulated the energy in his body to stabilize his blood flow, causing his originally pale countenance to regain some color. Hence, nobody knew the true meaning of this collision. In the end, Qin Wentian was still inferior to Duan Qingshan. He was blasted to the point of coughing out blood, but despite having a cultivation base at the 7th level of Yuanfu, he could still be proud of his combat prowess. Qin Wentian coldly laughed in his heart when he saw the expression on Duan Qingshan's face. He turned his gaze onto Ouyang Ting as a demonic light flickered in the center of his brows. Ouyang Ting inclined her head, coldly staring at Qin Wentian. However, she could feel a terrifying killing intent boring down on her, causing her body to tremble involuntarily. She hurriedly retreated, hiding behind the experts from the Ouyang aristocrat clan. She was afraid, terrified. Qin Wentian stepped forward, but at this moment, a voice drifted over. Enough? A few Heavenly Dipper sovereigns from the Ouyang aristocrat clan appeared. They glanced at the surroundings. They were well aware of what happened here. Ouyang Ting has already received her punishment. Enough. An old man stared at Qin Wentian as he calmly stated, "It's no longer suitable for her to remain in the Ouyang aristocrat clan." Ouyang Quangxing stepped forward as he stated, "I'm already engaged to Ouyang Ting." "Ouyang Quangxing, what do you mean by this?" Duan Qingshan retorted, only to see the old man glancing at the others as he continued, "This matter will be discussed later. Let's end it here today." After speaking, he turned his gaze onto Ouyang Ting as he commanded, "Let's return." At this moment, Ouyang Ting no longer had the slightest bit of anger in her heart. Duan Qingshan had actually failed to obstruct Qin Wentian from dealing with her, causing her to be humiliated once again. "See you at the Heavenly Fate rankings." Duan Qingshan's eyes flickered with killing intent as he stared at Qin Wentian. "You better pray that you don't meet me in the ranking battle. If not, Duan Qingshan's name will no longer appear on the Heavenly Fate rankings. I'm a man of my words." Qin Wentian's voice was ice cold, causing the hearts of the spectators to tremble. This fellow was truly arrogant enough, daring to say that he wanted to kill Duan Qingshan. "Me too," Duan Qingshan replied as he entered the inn. The crowd dispersed, leaving behind only Ouyang Quangxing, Jiang Ting, and a few others. "Ouyang, I'm leaving." Qin Wentian stared at Ouyang Quangxing as he calmly spoke. He knew that Ouyang Ting was someone from the Ouyang aristocrat clan, while he, Qin Wentian, was an outsider. How could the Ouyang aristocrat clan tolerate him acting against Ouyang Ting, even if he was Ouyang Quangxing's friend? "I understand." Ouyang Quangxing nodded his head as he patted Qin Wentian on his shoulder. "You have always been a brother of mine. This has nothing to do with the Ouyang aristocrat clan." Qin Wentian nodded his head. "Ouyang, let's work hard together. Let's grow stronger as soon as possible and control the Ouyang aristocrat clan. At that time, when I visit the Ouyang aristocrat clan as a guest, I won't need to bow down to anyone. When I control the Ouyang aristocrat clan, would I still be able to invite you?" Ouyang Quangxing joked. The relationship between the two of them naturally wouldn't be affected by the Ouyang aristocrat clan. The reason why Qin Wentian wanted to leave was because this place belonged to the Ouyang aristocrat clan. Once he left, if he met Ouyang Ting and Duan Qingshan again, he wouldn't be the slightest bit courteous to them. He would definitely fulfill his promise in the ranking battle, and if they met again, he would definitely kill Duan Qingshan. Ouyang Guangxing also understood this point. There was no need for the two of them to speak. Oi! At this moment, a voice drifted over from afar. Qin Wentian shifted his gaze over, only to see two silhouettes appearing in the distance, staring in his direction. Upon seeing the two of them, a smile appeared in Qin Wentian's eyes. The top 3 rankers of the Heavenly Fate rankings, are you ready? The female of the two silhouettes had a pure and innocent look on her face as she smiled in Qin Wentian's direction. You're tuning into the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.